It is another beautiful morning at Woodbine Mohawk Park in Campbellville, Ontario, as we get set for the second day of baby racing action. A total of 11 two-year-old qualifying races going to the post this morning. Two-year-old Colt and Gelding Pacers will be in action in all 11 races. And again, there is a look at the scene. We are under sunny skies. Temperature in the mid-20s Celsius, and wind not much of a factor at all this afternoon. Track looks lightning fast, and we are looking forward to getting our first look at several new youngsters hitting the racetrack for the first time today, and some others that will be coming back for a second go-around, horses that we saw in action last weekend. Once again, Greg Blanchard at the desk outside. Mark McKelvey getting set to join us from up top in the announcer's booth. Mark, and a bit of a bittersweet day. This would have been the day for this year's Pepsi North America Cup, and I know that's always a busy time for you, but a very fun and exciting time as well.
Yeah, it's the best time of the year, Greg, I think, for myself and for all of us around here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. We look forward to that marquee event each and every year. This would be the 37th edition of the Pepsi North America Cup that was supposed to be contested today. Instead, we will still see it later this year. It'll be in a different spot, August 29th. A lot of the stake races that were scheduled for the Pepsi North America Cup undercard have been moved to that time of the year as well. So we look forward to the end of August, and hopefully restrictions and everything in our world's gone back to a little bit more normal, and we'll be able to get all the best top three-year-old pacers here for that marquee event.
And, we're looking forward to today, of course, seeing some of these babies in action. Yesterday, I thought the performances were fantastic. Some horses really emerged and turned our heads, and I think we'll see the same this morning. I suspect there's some youngsters that certainly on paper look very good. We're getting good reports of how they've been training coming in, and it's going to be exciting to watch them today and kind of get a little bit of a feel, at least initially, for who's who.
Yeah, for sure, and I think we looked back yesterday at the horses that competed a week ago and how much of improvement they showed under much better conditions yesterday. It's a little warmer, I think, today. The sun is really shining. As you mentioned, the track's going to be fast. So yesterday we saw, I think, 3 miles in the 154 range. Ontario Sire stake eligibles were looking really good, so I'm excited to see what the Colts and Geldings have to say for themselves here today.
All right, and we want to welcome everybody tuning in today on our various social media platforms. Great to have you on board. Don't forget, we've got a promotion happening all weekend long. We kicked it off yesterday, and it will be the case again today. Everyone who comments online, you'll be entered into a draw for a $250 Amazon gift card. Compliments of our good friends at hoofbid.com, partnering with us for the baby race coverage here this weekend. Want to remind you as well, the OSS schedule getting set to get underway, and in fact, it kicks off later today at Hanover Raceway, with the first ever Prospect Series getting underway there this afternoon. Post time at 2 o'clock for their program, 3-year-old filly pacers. Same group will be in action on June 26th in the Grassroots Series. 3-year-old filly pacers there as it debuts for the season at Woodbine Mohawk Park. And the Gold Series gets underway next Sunday, June 28th at Georgian Downs for 3-year-old colt trotters. We'll give you a quick look at our poll question before we look at the field for race 1. We want to know which one of these stallions will have the biggest impact in the Ontario Sire Stakes this season. On the trotting side, will it be Muscle Mass, will it be Cadabra, or will it be the Pacing Sire Sports Writer, or Better Than Cheddar? Gave you 4 to choose from, all expecting to have an impact this year in the OSS program. Select your answer from the pop-up box on screen if you're watching on social media today. And just a couple of trainers we want to keep an eye on today that will be unveiling some new youngsters for us for the first time, and they'll be prominent. Casey Coleman, she sends out 5 starters today, and among the starters from her stable will be the betting line brother to Weeper, a $570,000 yearling. We'll see him later today in race qualifier number 8. His name is Bet Mine. And Jack Darling will send out 3 today, including the $80,000 son of sports writer Avion Sealster. But we turn our attention to qualifier number 1. We've got a good-looking field of 8 getting set to go postward here, Mark. And I think one that's going to get some attention is number 8, Ciro's Blue Chip. This one with James McDonald driving. The Dam, Incredible Beauty has already produced so too, a $600,000 winner. But the second Dam, Precious Beauty, of course, has been a prolific producer.
Yeah, it certainly has been. So obviously the dam of this one, as I'm making sure to mute everything going on up here. But yes, the dam, you speak about it, it's a great family here. The family of Sports Writer, Precocious Beauty, Prescient Beauty. So this dam is a sibling to those 3 stars that I just mentioned. So this one bred to potentially be a great one. $16,000 though at Harrisburg, which could potentially be a bargain buy. So we'll see what it has to say for itself in its first qualifier here, coming up a field of 8. Looking out on the track, I think we got all 8 on track. So, and not really any changes to bring along, which is a great start for us.
All right, so we'll let Mark get ready. He'll be calling the action once again this morning of all 11. Another one that's going to be interesting to watch here is Mythic Gambler on the outside of the starting gate. A $100,000 yearling, son of Better's Delight from the Arts Place mare Mythical, owned by Determination of Montreal, Quebec. Luc Blais, the trainer, and Bob McClure driving. Gate rolling for the first of 11, and here's Mark with the call.
And we're set to get things going here on this Saturday morning from Woodbine Mohawk Park. First of 11 2-year-old qualifiers. Today, it's all 2-year-old pacing colts and geldings. Scratch number 8. Mythic Gambler here in the first qualifier. So it'll be a field of 7. Let's meet the field. Number 1, Touch 'em All Joe. Is a 2-year-old colt by Roll with Joe out of an Art Major mare. Owned by Brian Legge, David Legge. Trained by Ken Susi. Chris Christopher will drive. 2 is Shadow Warrior, a shadow play colt out of a Badlands Hanover mare, owned by Dominic Chiaravalli and Dr. Ian Moore. Moore trains. Tyler Moore drives. A $33,000 London Select yearling sale purchase. Number 3, Desperate Man, is a 2-year-old colt by Shadow Play out of an Arts Place mare, owned by Kathy and John Chachin, Nicole Davies, and Paul Davies. Kathy Chachin is the trainer. Trevor Henry drives a $20,000 Lexington buy. 4, Bazooka Hanover is a Captain Treacherous colt out of a Western Terre mare, owned by Steve Heimbecker, trained by Blake McIntosh. Doug McNair drives. This was a $200,000 Harrisburg buy. 5, Hakamoto is a shadow play colt out of a House of Fun mare, owned by Marie-Claude Auger, who's also the trainer and driver. 6, Ciros Blue Chip, American Ideal gelding out of an Art Major mare, owned by the stable Ciros Blue Chip, trained by Anthony McDonald. James McDonald drives, $16,000 Harrisburg buy. And 7 is Believe in Brian, Believe in Bruiser colt out of an artistic mare. Gerald Majal is the breeder and the owner. Louis Eftemias trains. Jody Jameson drives. Field of 7 on gate for the first qualifier, picking up speed, and here they come. And they're off and pacing. First call is going to go to Shadow Warrior towards the inside. Going along with him is Bazooka Hanover. And there in the center is Hako Mojito. Then at the rail, it is Touch 'em All Joe. Caught on the outside, Believe in Brian. Over to the pylons, Desperate Man. And the last one is Ciros Blue Chip. They're into the first turn, and Shadow Warrior is put on the front by Tyler Moore. Leads by a little more than a length and a half through an opening quarter of 30-1. So this field of 7 will move into the backstretch. Everybody down along the pylons except for Believe in Brian at the back of the field. It is Shadow Warrior the leader. In second, Bazooka Hanover. Racing third is Touch 'em All Joe. Then in fourth, Hako Mojito. Racing in fifth is Desperate Man. Sixth is Ciros Blue Chip. And now Believe in Brian, seventh, moves over to the pylons. Their single file order as they approach the midway point. 30-1 was the opening quarter, and there's not a lot of speed here in the second quarter. It's still going to be Shadow Warrior the leader, past the half in 1:01-1. So it was a 31-second even, second quarter there. And it's Shadow Warrior who takes this group of 7 into the far turn. In second is Bazooka Hanover. Third continues to be Touch 'em All Joe. Then in fourth, Hako Mojito. 2 lengths back to Desperate Man, who's looking to get things going for Henry. Followed by Ciros Blue Chip and Believe in Brian. 3 quarters is coming up next for Shadow Warrior and the Son of Shadow Play. Leads the Captain Treacherous colt Bazooka Hanover by a length and a half. Third continues to be Touch 'em All Joe, and Desperate Man got underway, is now up into fourth. 1:30-2 for 3 quarters. They're into the stretch, and they look to sprint on home. Shadow Warrior at the inside now gives way. Bazooka Hanover off the 2-hole trip is powered to the top, but out in the center of the track, here comes Desperate Man with good strides. Touch 'em All Joe into third. Bazooka Hanover and Desperate Man is down to these two to decide it in the opener, and on the outside, Desperate Man is going to get up to win. Bazooka Hanover was second, Touch 'em All Joe third, Shadow Warrior fourth, Hako Mojito fifth, followed by Believe in Brian and Ciros Blue Chip. 157-2 for Desperate Man.
A pair of nice-looking colts sprinting over that final quarter in 27 seconds flat. 56-1 back half in this spot. as it comes down to a pair and Desperate Man. Eye-catching rally to come from off the pace and win over Bazooka Hanover, who had the 2-hole trip but could not hold off that son of Shadow Play. Good pedigree on that one, Mark. The mare Dreamlands Latte was a good one herself and has produced a couple of $200,000 winners. And from what we've seen, it's only one qualifier, but so far so good for Desperate Man.
Yeah, the last quarter in that field, 26-4, and I would say for Desperate Man, he's going to get a real sharp-looking last quarter here, probably around 26 seconds flat. And you mentioned it in the calls, they were coming around the last turn. Henry was ready to get going with Desperate Man, and the Shadow Play colt impressively comes on home. And Bazooka Hanover off that trip, I thought was likely going to be the one to just power home off the 2-hole ride and get the victory, but a good last quarter for him. There's no shame in the fact that he came home in 26 and a piece, but Desperate Man, that's a real good performance to set the tone for with our first of 11.
Absolutely. I think we're going to see, at least a couple of big miles today, I suspect. And there's a good final half, certainly for the winner and the runner-up finisher there as well. There was a scratch of Mythic Gambler. We talked a little bit about that one beforehand. The high-profile one, a sibling to Alicorn, the great champion. So we'll look forward to see that one back in action. And because we don't have the luxury of getting the changes until very late, sometimes they come up just before they go to the gate. So far so good. One in the books, Mark. We'll look ahead here to qualifier number 2, and we get another look, or second look, at the highest priced yearling ever sold at public auction in Canada, and his name is Marlborough Sealster.
Night on Costa TV asked him about this youngster, and while that first qualifier probably wasn't what they had in mind, I don't think he sounded too discouraged about this rookie, who again sold for $270,000 at the London Selected Sale last fall. He'll go a second time here this morning. Last week, Louis-Philippe Roy was the driver. Trevor Henry listed here today, so maybe just a bit of a shake-up that could spark it here for Marlborough Sealster.
All right, and there's a look at a photo of him the day that he sold at the London Selected Yearling Sale. So the experience of the debut last week, we did see a couple of fillies coming back yesterday for their second qualifier, step up substantially, and I'm sure the connections will be hoping for the same today with this guy. Mr. Charisma, the number 4, has an interesting look as well, better than Cheddar, who's been making some noise in our first couple of qualifying sessions. This one a sibling to a pair of $300,000 yearlings. So that's just a quick overview of the field for race number 2. Starters have already been making their way out to the track for this one. We'll get you back up to Mark in a moment for a rundown, complete finish order from that first race. I believe he has it now, Mark.
Here's the order of finish from qualifier number 1. Number 1, Touch 'em All Joe was 3rd. Number 2, Shadow Warrior 4th. Number 3, Desperate Man, the winner. Number 4, Bazooka Hanover 2nd. Number 5, Hako Mojito was 5th. Number 6, Heroes Blue Chip 7th. Number 7, Believe in Brian 6th. And number 8 was Scratch. Top to bottom, 3, 4, 1, 2, 5, 7, 6. Scratch on the bottom. Fractions were 30 and 1, 101 and 1, 130 and 3, 157 and 2. For the winner, number 3, Desperate Man, a 2-year-old colt by Shadow Play, out of the Arts Place mare Dreamlands Latte, owned by Kathy and John Chikeen, Nicole Davies and Paul Davies, trained by Kathy Chikeen. Trevor Henry was in the sulky, $20,000 Lexington buy, 7th full out of that Arts Place mare. Wins here in 157 and 2 in his qualifying debut. One note to pass along. AGCO judges have informed us that the track condition will be listed as good, with a 1-second variant to begin the qualifying session. There will be an update as the morning goes along.
So horses and drivers continue to make their way out for qualifier number 2. Getting a look there at the 1. A Big Bang Bang, I believe in Bruiser colt from the Arts Place mare Chi-Town Lightning. And it looks like, yes, James McDonald has picked up the driving assignment on this one from that post 1 spot here this morning. A couple of more making their way to the track. There's a look at 4, Mr. Charisma, the aforementioned son of Better Than Cheddar. Doug McNair teaming up here with trainer Blake McIntosh. This one owned by Hutt Racing of Pennsylvania, and Veikko Puhnen of Vancouver, along with Daniel Davis of Peterborough and Penny of Hope Stables of St. George, Ontario. So big ownership group on that one. Mr. Charisma, good third last week in the first effort behind the gate. Got away third, raced evenly, but 28-4 in the end. And Mark, we talked about it a lot yesterday. Anything under 29 seconds last week on the end of the mile was pretty impressive considering the high winds and cool temperatures.
Yeah, that's exactly what the case was. If you could pace home anything, like you said, under 29, you had a pretty good performance that first week. Much better conditions here today. As I mentioned, the judges informing that they're going with a track listed as good with a 1 second variant. They expect the track's going to tighten up as the morning goes along, and I'm just going to say it'll be fast here in no time, but the sun is really beaten down, and I think these rookies are probably going to thrive under these conditions here today. We already saw a good last quarter in the first one. You talked a bit about number one, Big Bang Bang, and James McDonald will drive for trainer Michael Verderamo. There's one that when you could look at some of these to see if their siblings were potentially stake stars. Here's one, though, that's related to maybe one of the toughest horses that races around here, Big Bang Boom. And I think there's something to that when you see some of those, as you call them, raceway horses, those hard-knocking ones that maybe they're not going to catch your attention right off the bat, but these are the ones that we'll probably get to see week in and week out going forward. And if that horse can be anything like his half-brother, Big Bang Boom, who's made over $200,000, he'll definitely pay his way.
Yeah, you're bang on, Mark, and Believe in Bruiser was that type of horse himself and seems to be passing on that to his offspring, and really just a handful that we've seen on the racetrack from this guy. He doesn't get the commercial attention that other stallions do, but his production record's been pretty good so far for Believe in Bruiser. So the gate is rolling. Once again, here's Mark with the description of qualifier number 2.
Starting gate moving for the second qualifier will be a field of 8. James McDonald drives one, Big Bang Bang. Here is the field. Number 1, Big Bang Bang, is the son of Believe in Bruiser out of an Arts Place mare, owned by Michael Verderamo, who is also the trainer. James McDonald drives 2 is Brilliant Corners, a 2-year-old gelded son of Better Than Cheddar out of a Real Desire mare, owned by the stable Brilliant Corners, trained by Anthony McDonald. Sylvan Filion drives. 3 Combatant is a Royal Majesty colt out of a Western Hanover mare owned by Hut Racing Stable. And Blake McIntosh trains. Louis-Philippe Waugh will drive, an $8,000 London buy. 4, Mr. Charisma, Better Than Cheddar colt out of a Ponderosa mare, Hut Racing Stable. Vacu Peninen, Daniel Davis, Penny of Hope Stables are the owners. Blake McIntosh trains. Doug McNair drives, $20,000 Lexington buy. 5, Marlboro Sealster is a Better Select colt out of a McCardle mare owned by Jeff Snyder, Michael Snyder, and Dr. Ian Moore. Moore trains. Trevor Henry drives, a $270,000 London buy. 6, What Can You Say, is an Up the Credit gelding out of an Art Major mare owned and trained by Carl Jameson, Jody Jameson in the sulky. 7, Drowns the Whiskey, a Better Than Cheddar colt out of an Australia's mare owned by Joanne Colville, Nancy McNeven, along with Robbie Wibawa. Jack Moiseyev trains. Phil Houdon drives. And the 8 is Sobel Attack. Sobel Hill Farms owns this Better Light gelding out of an Up the Credit mare. Otis Hall trains. And Bob McClure is in the sulky. They're off and pacing here in the second qualifier, and Marlboro Sealster shoots out from the center. Off stride in the early going was Mr. Charisma. He'll have to reset. At the inside, there's Combatant to get away. In a good spot, forwardly placed by Waugh. On the outside, driving ahead, though, is What Can You Say? Into the first turn, it's Big Bang Bang in 4th. In 5th is Drowns the Whiskey, followed 6th by Brilliant Corners, and 7th is Sobel Attack. And still off stride at the back, that is Mr. Charisma. Opening quarter was 29-1, so 29-1 opener. And the leader is What Can You Say? Debut qualifier for this gelded son of Up the Credit. He's taking them up the backside. In second, Marlboro Sealster would be content to ride the leaders back under a good hold. And now coming out from 4th, here is Big Bang Bang, who gets underway for McDonald, and he is sweeping up now into 2nd. In 4th is Combatant, racing 5th to the outside, now getting underway, Drowns the Whiskey. Then it'll be Brilliant Corners, followed by Sobel Attack, and the trailer's Mr. Charisma. 1 minute even, the half-mile clocking. And as they enter the far turn, Big Bang Bang has taken up the top spot now. Big Bang Bang the leader as they go by 5/8. That puts What Can You Say in second. Here on the outside is Drowns the Whiskey. In this middle half, he's grinding his way up, looking to get up to the leader's wheel. Off cover a little bit, though, is Brilliant Corners. Inside to Marlboro Sealster, 5th. And then at the rail, Combatant. Outside is Sobel Attack. Last is Mr. Charisma, 129 for 3/4. They're into the stretch. And the leader, it was Big Bang Bang, but here on the outside, Drowns the Whiskey pokes ahead up in front. Drowns the Whiskey. What can you say in behind for Jameson now? And then in the center of the track is Brilliant Corners, and Marlboro Sealster is coming on. The leader is Drowns the Whiskey as they come into deep stretch. What can you say to the inside? Drowns the Whiskey to win. What can you say was second? Marlboro Sealster third. Fourth went to Brilliant Corners, 157 and 1.
$57-1, certainly a good win time there. Again, off a half in just a minute, sprinting home in 57-1 to seal the deal. Phil Hudon in the driver's seat, better than Cheddar. There he is again, surfacing with yet another winner. And, we talked about it at length yesterday. Mark, better than Cheddar, really, I think, turned some heads last week. Had 3 winners in the 2-year-old filly ranks last weekend. Had another one there yesterday and comes back and already clicking in this spot here today. So one of those stallions you think is going to be a player here in the OSS this season as you look ahead. We talked about another one that really is starting to get more and more notoriety, and that's Big Jim. And it's fun. It's early in the season, but from what we've seen so far, it's a name you've got to keep on your radar.
Yeah, you do. And yesterday I took to our Woodbine SB Twitter account here at Mohawk Park, and I threw out the question, ignoring Sports Writer and Bettor's Delight. They were the top 2 stallions last year here in Ontario, but outside of them, those group just below, which one do you think would have the biggest impact this season? And the voters actually went with Better Than Cheddar. The other options were Sunshine Beach, He's Watching, and Big Jim, as I mentioned. I thought Big Jim would have got more respect, but he ended up only getting 8% of the vote. Of course, you can't read too much into that. But to your point, Big Jim has been making a statement, that's for sure. Better Than Cheddar as well. And again, if they continue to see winners like this here in the baby races, it just sets them up to have potentially career best years as stallions, and maybe they can start to push Bettor's Delight and Sports Writer for those top 2 spots. Of course, they'll probably have a bit of a leg up, but it'll be a good battle for that third.
And all 4 that you mentioned certainly have been great producers in their own right. So that shows you the depth of the Ontario program again. We lost some big guns. Of course, Cam Luck not that long ago was kind of the granddaddy of them all, but others are starting to fill that void, and it certainly bodes well for the program as we look ahead to this year. Speaking of that, why not maybe pull up that poll question again one more time quickly, and we'll give you a look at that. We put our poll question up off the top today. Wanted to know which of these stallions do you think will have the biggest impact in the OSS this season? Gave you 2 trotting options and 2 pacing options. Muscle Mass, Cadabra, Sports Writer, or Better Than Cheddar. And you can click on the pop-up if you're watching on social media, or just leave us a comment as well. And just leave us a comment on any of the various platforms. We're going to be drawing a name from random following today's broadcast for that $250 Amazon gift card, compliments of our friends at hoofbid.com. Here's Mark with the finish order from Qualifier 2.
Qualifier 2, order of finish. Number 1, Big Bang Bang was 3rd. Number 2, Brilliant Corners 4th. Number 3, Combatant 5th. Number 4, Mr. Charisma 8th. Number 5, Marlboro Sealster 3rd. Number 6, What Can You Say 2nd. Number 7, Drowns the Whiskey the winner. And number 8, Sobel Attack was 6th. 3, 4, 5, 8, 3, 2, 1, 6 is your order of finish. Fractions were 29 and 1. 1 minute even. 129. 157 and 1 for the winner. Number 7, Drowns the Whiskey. This is a 2-year-old colt by Better Than Cheddar out of the Australia's mare, Australian. Joanne Colville, Nancy McNeven, along with Bernard Murphy, Robbie Wibblewa share ownership. Jack Moiseyev trains. Phil Hudon was in the sulky.
Scheduled for a field of 8 in the upcoming 3rd qualifier. Number 1, Victory Move, the one on screen, making his way out. A son of American Ideal, who was a runner-up last week in his qualifier. Blake McIntosh trains, the son of American Ideal. Doug McNair will be back on board. I'm sure they were happy with that effort last week. 52nd in a 58-4 mile, 28-3 individually timed in his final quarter from the very good race mare Irene on the Move, one of the richest Delaware-bred mares of all time, with $860,000 on her card. And Mark, our second look at that one, Braemar, just stepping onto the track, the brother to the $1.2 million winner Vegas Vacation, and I thought he was a solid third last week in his debut effort.
Yeah, I think they'd have to be happy with that performance. Home in 28-4. We talked about getting that 29-second sub last quarter. Betting line, we'll see what his first crop has to say for themselves. Former Pepsi North America Cup winner, as you mentioned, three-quarter brother to Vegas Vacation. 10th full from this grin from ear to ear mare, Don't You Smile. And going for the stable, who have had success this weekend already with the Trotters, now trying to transition that over to the Pacers.
And if you were going to pick out one filly in particular that was the most impressive winner last weekend, I don't think many would argue if you said No Better Joy, the daughter of Better Than Cheddar, the son of Better Than Cheddar, I should say, the colt. He was an 8.5 length winner a week ago in 58-4 on that really blustery day. That was impressive, and by far the largest margin of victory last week. And he's a good looker. We just saw him coming onto the track a moment ago with Bob McClure.
Yeah, I saw him out there earlier this morning when I first got to the track. He was getting his preparations, and I talked last week about these connections, seeming to always find have a 2-year-old that comes out early on that's ready to be a bit of a player and shows some potential. So we'll see what No Better Joy has for a follow-up. But when you win like that a week ago, and a 58-4 mile was a really good mile on that morning, what's there to go with now? What is the expectations? I'd be curious to know what the connections are hoping to see here this morning. Post position number 7. Last week, they had post position number 8. So he's used to being on the outside, and he got off the wings really easily to get to the top. So we'll see if they can do that once again, or if Bob McClure, maybe, here's a teaching moment, maybe not racing on the front this week.
All right, the starting gate is just getting into motion for qualifier number 3. Here's Mark with the call.
Third qualifier, 2-year-old pacing colts and geldings. Number 1 Victory Move is an American Ideal colt of a powerful toy mare owned by Hut Racing Stable, Steve Heidenbecker and Blake McIntosh. Blake McIntosh trains, Doug McNair drives, a $65,000 Lexington buy. 2 is Snap Call, 2-year-old colt by Shadow Play out of an Albert mare owned by Dr. Ian Moore, RG McGroup Limited, and Serge Savard. Ian Moore trains, Tyler Moore drives, $57,000 Harrisburg purchase. 3 is Major Bean, an Art Major colt out of a Camluck mare, owned and trained by Carl Jameson, Jody Jameson in the sulky, $28,000 Lexington purchase. 4 is Gold Train, a State Treasurer colt out of an American Ideal mare, owned by Paul Davies, Nicole Davies, John Chakeen, along with Deborah Pinnell. Trainer drivers Paul Davies, a $13,000 Alberta Standard Red Horse sale purchase. Number 5, Yankee Litigators, and always be Mickey Colt of a Some Beach Somewhere mare. Dan Legacy owns and trains. Bob McClure listed to drive $30,000. Harrisburg buy. 6 is Braemar, betting line colt out of a Grin from Ear to Ear mare, owned by the stable Braemar Group. Amy McDonald trains, James McDonald drives, $30,000 Lexington purchase. 7, No Better Joy, Better Than Cheddar colt out of an All-American Ingot mare. Bruno Camegna owns, Nikki Camegna trains, Bob McClure listed to drive, $46,000 London buy. And 8 is Beach Hunter. Stephen Klinowski is the owner-breeder. Carmen Osceola trains, Jonathan Drury drives the son of Sunshine Beach out of a Hunterstown mare. And they're off and pacing here in qualifier number 3, and off stride at the beginning went No Better Joy. So No Better Joy made a miscue and just rocketing out to the top. This is Major Bean. Major Bean to lead them by 4 into the first turn. Snap Call in second. Third is Victory Move. Getting away fourth is Gold Train. Then it is Yankee Litigator, followed by Braemar and Beach Hunter as they roll into the first bend. Up top, this is Major Bean leading comfortably by about 3 lengths with a sharp opening quarter, 29-1. So it'll be Major Bean, the son of Art Major, swinging them up the backside. Closing the gap in second is Snap Call. Then in third, that is Victory Move. Followed fourth by Gold Train. Fifth up the backstretch, Yankee Litigator. Then it is Braemar. And at the back of the pack, Beach Hunter and still having some issues at the back. That is No Better Joy, who's now into the center of the track for McClure. As they come up towards the midway point, the leader is Major Bean. Major Bean cut out in 29-1 opener. This is going to be a slower second quarter here, as he'll be by the half in 1 minute and 4/5. So definitely back down there here in the second split. So now they race into the far turn, looking for the rookies to ramp it up. They were tightly packed as they roll into the far turn, and as they race by 5/8, it's still Major Bean with the lead. Snap call in second, now out from fourth. Underway, here comes Gold Train for Davies, advancing into third. Inside fourth is Victory Move. Break of about 3 lengths going back to Yankee Litigator. At the inside is Braemar, and the final two continue to be Beach Hunter and No Better Joy. Coming up to 3/4, it's been all Major Bean. 1:29 and 4, 29 seconds even in the third quarter off the turn and into the stretch. Major Bean with the lead. On the outside, this is Gold Train up to the leader's wheel and trying to grind his way on by. Victory Move in the center of the track is third. Inside fourth is Snap Call. Back in fifth is Braemar. They're into the final 16th. Good battle going on up front here. Major Bean trying to go coast to coast on the outside. Gold Train getting a nose up in front, and it's Gold Train to win. Major Bean was second. Time of the mile, 1:57 flat.
Another good final quarter battle in qualifier number 3. Comes down to 2 at the end. Gold Train and Major Bean. Gold Train getting up in the final strides to win it for Paul Davies. Paul Davies does the training and driving on this one. Son of State Treasurer. The second foal from the American Ideal mare to Ideal, and kicks home in 27-1. And a good back half of 56-1 to seal the deal there. So, Mark, good stretch battle. I think even the runner-up there, Major Bean, they'd be happy to see the fight. This one showed right to the wire.
Yeah, it really did. I was trying to tell if he was going to hold on there. It was looking pretty tight coming down to the line. The announcer's booth here at Mohawk Park is just to the left of the finish line, so there is a bit of an outside bias, but it was Gold Train getting it for trainer-driver Paul Davies, who's recently relocated from the west here to Ontario. And if you get a nice 2-year-old on your hands, that makes that transition a whole lot easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does. And State Treasurer, let's talk a little bit about him as well. I think people were looking forward to seeing his first crop hit the racetrack, and already a few qualifying winners right here at Woodbine Mohawk Park, and they've all looked impressive. I liked what I've seen in terms of size and gait from them.
Yeah, you're looking to see if they have any of that same characteristics that he had. Just a tremendous performer, fast, tough as they come, and in this first year, sometimes you don't always get the top mares, and you don't always maybe have that support. So you look for some of them to come through to stamp your mark on the program, and I think State Treasure is going to have that sort of opportunity. You know, we were just talking about some of the other stallions a few moments ago, the ones that it's taken them a few years, but now they're really starting to make their presence felt. And for State Treasurer, maybe that'll be the case, but he's had some good-looking performers here in the first couple of weeks of our baby races.
He sure has. So thank you, Mark, and we'll let Mark speak to the officials and get that rundown for qualifier number 3. In the meantime, just had a look at the field page for the upcoming 4th. We have 11 in total today. We'll take a break, I believe, after qualifier number 5. We'll have a break in the middle and hopefully catch up to some of the connections during that time as well. But another good-looking group getting ready to hit the track here, including that one we just saw, Blue Monk, son of Up the Credit, owned by the stable Blue Monk Group of Guelph. And he was one of the performers out last week. Was put on the front by his trainer-driver Mario Baerjan and missed by just a little over a length. Charted in 2 minutes on the day. And we'll see if that son of Up the Credit can step up a notch here. Proline, the number 7, is the next one out for the father-son team of Scott and Jack Ray. Fred Wolford and Doug Dunbar of Woodstock share ownership with Jack Ray, a $21,000 yearling purchase, and a sports writer son of Sabal Clare, who was a very good performer here in Ontario, winner of $200,000. The number 8 will get some attention in here, I'm sure. Sir Shadow for Ian Moore, another good one from good-looking one from that stable on paper, certainly. A shadow play, son of Dream of Mimi. She a $450,000 winner in the dam of the late 18, who was a career winner of $900,000. We'll talk more about this group in a moment, but Mark has the rundown from qualifier 3.
Here's the order of finish from the third qualifier. Number 1, Victory Move was 4th. Number 2, Snap Call was 3rd. Number 3, Major Bean 2nd. Number 4, Gold Train the winner. Number 5, Yankee Litigator 6th. Number 6, Braemar 5th. Number 7, No Better Joy 7th. And number 8, Beach Hunter was 8th. 4-3-2-1-6-5-7-8 is your order of finish. Fractions 29 and 1, a minute 4/5, 129 and 4, 157 flat for the winner. Number 4, Gold Train, a 2-year-old colt by State Treasure out of the American Ideal mare 2 Ideal, owned by Paul Davies, Nicole Davies, John Chakeen, and Deborah Pinnell. Paul Davies, the trainer driver, a $13,000 yearling purchase in Alberta. This is Gold Train that takes the third of 11.
Having a look at Frank Defford hitting the racetrack, son of sports writer from the Rock and Roll Hanover mare Hot Legs. Blake McIntosh trains this $19,000 yearling purchase. He was 4th, beaten a little over 5 lengths a week ago. James McDonald will be back in the driver's seat here in this field of 8. Again, you're watching coverage of the baby races from Woodbine Mohawk Park, beautiful Woodbine Mohawk Park in Campbellville, Ontario. Greg Blanchard, Mark McKelvey with you this morning. I hope you're enjoying the coverage. Thank you again to the Central Ontario Standardbred Association, COSA, for making this possible, along with the Woodbine Entertainment Group broadcast team. Thank you to our partners from Ontario Racing as well, and hoofbid.com. And again, we'd love to hear from you today. If you're watching, leave a comment on any one of our social media platforms. Maybe tell us where you're watching, what you think of the performances you've seen so far. And you'll be entered into a draw for a $250 Amazon gift card. That's compliments of hoofbid.com, the new online standardbred auction platform. All right, we've got the 4th to look ahead to here, Mark. Just your quick thoughts on who you'll be keeping an eye on in this spot.
Well, last week we saw the Blue Monk, who is number 6, hand over the lead late in that qualifier. So we'll see if Mario Baillargeon and the Blue Monk maybe can switch things up here today. I thought he looked pretty good on the lead. Went his mile in 2 minutes, home in 29 and 3. Looking at somebody that I'd pick out here in this field, let's look at the outside starter. I know you talked already about Sir Shadow and the connections there in that pedigree, being a half-brother to 18 who made just under $1 million. We will see him debuting. Dr. Ian Moore likes to see these horses raced in their first qualifier. Outside starting spot likely means you got to get off the wings of the gate pretty good, and we'll see if that's the case for Sir Shadow. I was going to ask you, Greg, going back to a qualifier earlier on, I'm sure you've done this before because you've called many more races than I have, but do you ever almost call them by their siblings' names or the sires' names? Because some of these horses are similar to ones that we've already called, and it can trick you as an announcer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's something for sure that's happened, and especially ones that have a resemblance. If they have that same look or same type of way of going, that can certainly happen. Speaking of going, the gate is rolling now for qualifier 4. Once again, here's Mark with the race call.
Here we go for the 4th qualifier. Scratch number 4. Desperado, and looks like number 8, Sir Shadow, is out as well. So it gives us a field of 6. Number 1, Frank Defford, is a $19,000 Lexington buy. This son of sports writers out of a Rock and Roll Hanover mare, owned by Daniel Plouffe, along with Jean-Christophe Plouffe and Blake McIntosh. McIntosh trains, James McDonald steers. 2, State Centerer, is a homebred for Brad Grant. Scott McEnany trains, Doug McNair drives, son of State Treasure out of a Shadow Play mare. 3, Nelson Eddie Hanover, Some Beach Somewhere Cold out of a Better's Delight mare, owned by Nurko Sokolovic and Craig Bars. Bars trains, Jody Jameson drives, $15,000 Harrisburg buy. 4 is out. 5 is Can't Stop Lying. Sunshine Beach Cold out of a Western Hanover mare, owned and bred by Millar Farms. Nick Gallucci trains. Bob McClure will steer. 6, Blue Monk, Up the Credit Cold out of a Real Desire mare, owned by the stable Blue Monk Group. Mario Baillargeon is the trainer driver. And 7 is Proline, a sports writer colt, owned by Frederick Wolford and Doug Dunbar, along with Jack Ray. Ray is the trainer. Scott Ray in the sulky, a $21,000 London buy. Son of sports writer out of an LH Striker mare. 8 is scratched. Here is the field. It's a group of 6 picking up speed, and here they come. And they're off and pacing. nobody really hustling out of there just yet. So the Blue Monk is going to step forward from Mario Baerjean as he'll look to go to the top spot. Similar approach to what we saw last week here from this son of Up the Credit. Nelson Eddy Hanover gets away on the leader's back second, holding ground at the third. Frank Defford shoots ahead for McDonald. Settling in fourth is Proline for Ray. And then the final two is Can't Stop Lying and State Senator. Group of 6 enters the first turn. On top, it's Blue Monk. Blue Monk passed the opening quarter in 31 and 4. Off stride in second went Nelson Eddy Hanover. So Nelson Eddy Hanover made a break and has to go to the back as Jameson is trying to get that youngster reset. That son of some beach somewhere making his qualifying debut. Always watching for these youngsters into the first turn as they have to navigate the shadows, but as they go straight up the backstretch, it is just clear sailing here for Blue Monk. And Blue Monk off a 31 and 4 opener, probably going to give us a snappier second quarter here as he races past the half in 101 and 4. So that was 30 seconds even. Blue Monk on top here, trying to stay to his task here. Baerjean's got him on the lead in second. That is Frank Defford. Racing in third is Proline. Then it's a break of about 5 lengths going back to Can't Stop Lying. State Senators racing fifth, and then it's back to the first turn breaker, Nelson Eddy Hanover. To 3/4 they go, and Blue Monk is still the leader. Baerjean still chirping away at him as Blue Monk hits the third station in 1:30 and 4, so he went 29 seconds even in the third split. They've been faster quarters each time. Blue Monk called upon as he's trying to sprint on home. And then in second is Frank Defford, and here's Proline now showing clear racetrack, so it could be a 3 across finish coming up. Blue Monk still with the lead. In the center of the track, Frank Defford, and on the outside here is Proline, and Proline sweeps by late to win. It's Proline to take it. Frank Defford second, Blue Monk was third. Can't Stop Lying fourth, State Senator fifth, and Nelson Eddy Hanover will finish sixth. 158 flat for Proline.
And look at Proline on the run out. Still going stronger, and Scott Ray having a little trouble pulling him up. So that is a great indicator of a colt that loves what he's doing. And boy, there's an intention getting a qualifier. Only 158, but it really just sprinted over the final 16th of a mile. And he looks like he's got another gear or two left in him. So chilly steer there from Scott Ray. Scott and Jack look like they have another good-looking youngster on their hands. Mark, you don't see them racing a whole lot on the circuit, but from time to time they show up here and in recent years, and when they do, they've got one that's a factor.
Yeah, when they do show up, they're typically a factor like you mentioned. They make their presence known. In the past few years, it's been more with the trotters, but this was a nice-looking performance from the son of sports writer. Second foal out of the LH Striker mare Sauble Claire. Good last quarter. I talked about Blue Monk last week, trying to do it all on the front end and giving up the lead late. Same thing happens here today. Got to be a little disappointing for the connections, but Baerjean got after him going towards 3/4. One thing I like to see, and I talked about it yesterday, is you want to see those faster quarters. I think that's always something to keep in mind. They didn't go a whole lot there in the first quarter, so it kind of set up that would be the case. But Proline looked good. Frank Defford, that was his second qualifier as well. He gets second, but it is the debuting Proline that takes our fourth qualifier, a $21,000 London yearling sale purchase.
56 and 1 the final half in that race, and well in hand. Yeah, I agree. The top two, I thought, both looked very strong at the end. And there you go. Sports writer 1-2 again. So he had 4 winners last weekend on the Friday morning session, and comes right back with a 1-2 finish here today in the fourth on the Colt side. And good luck to Team Ray with Proline, an impressive winner there in 158. They're heading out next for qualifier 5, and this will be our last one, I believe, before the break. And in the 5th, we've got what is scheduled to be a field of 8. Again, there are some late scratches that come in here that we're unfortunately not aware of until they get up behind the starting gates. We apologize if there's any confusion for those watching in today when that does happen. But again, scheduled to be a field of 8 in here. There's a look at Ian Moore getting his charge ready here. He's busy as you would expect on this day, with a number of youngsters getting set to go postward, including Dietrich Seelster. A good look at that son of State Treasurer. State Treasurer already with a winner in the morning session, and this is a good-looking individual, Mark, kind of an eye-catcher as he makes his way out from Demi Seelster, the Kamloops mare. This guy, a $65,000 yearling purchase for the same connections, the McDonalds, from Prince Edward Island, who did campaign State Treasurer himself. And Mark, I liked what I saw from this guy last week.
I did too. I think Ian Moore mentioned to us on Costa TV the fact that he wasn't too concerned about these horses that maybe just got beat towards the line, and here's a horse that maybe we'll see if State Treasurer can come through once again. Sylvain Filion now moves into the sulky after the trainer Ian Moore did the driving last week. We see potentially if that maybe picks things up a little bit, or they get even a little more aggressive, but can't get much more aggressive than how Ian Moore steered him last week, shooting him out to the front, and he led by multiple lengths for most of that mile before just getting picked off late. But we'll see what he can do. Another one in this qualifier that I'll keep my eye on would be the 4, Great Somewhere. Here's a horse that was a $47,000 London buy. It's got some pretty good bloodlines for this son of Some Beach Somewhere out of Lady Be Great, Western Ideal mare, who the second dam would then be She's a Great Lady. So we'll keep our eye on that one here for its qualifier. Last week finished 4th, but I'll look for this one to step it up after being really far back early on.
And this one won't be hard to identify on the track, Mark. First glance, a roan gelded son of Thinking Out Loud from the Whitefish Falls mare White Glance. Mario Baerjan trains and drives this one. Had a miscue, though, last week. Will need to mind the manners, and they'll be looking for a step up here. Take Control, the number 5. Control the Moment from just a limited number of starters this weekend and last. Has also looked pretty good from what we've seen so far. So Mark has the finish order from that 4th, and we'll talk a little bit more about this group for the 5th coming up in a moment.
Order of finish from qualifier number 4. Number 1, Frank Defford, was 2nd. Number 2, State Senator, 5th. Number 3, Nelson Eddy Hanover, 6th. Number 4 was Scratch. Number 5, Can't Stop Lion, 4th. Number 6, Blue Monk, 3rd. Number 7, Proline, the winner. And number 8 was Scratched. 2, 5, 6, Scratch, 4, 3, 1. Scratch on the bottom. Fractions were 31 and 4, 101 and 4, 130 and 4, 158 flat for the winner. Number 7, Proline, a 2-year-old colt by Sports Writer out of the LH Striker mare Sauble Claire, owned by Frederick Wolford, Doug Dunbar, and Jack Ray. Jack Ray trained. Scott Ray was in the sulky, a $21,000 London yearling sale purchase.
Qualifier number 5. Dietrich Seelster, talked a little bit about him, Mark, and the mare, Demi Seelster, the Kamloops mare. She's been an excellent producer in her career. Of course, the mother of Deuce Seelster, who made over $1 million racing against the very best on the Grand Circuit. Diablo Seelster, Del Rio Seelster, a couple of winners of more than $250,000. Declan Seelster can be thrown into the mix there as well. So not surprising that they had to pay a decent price to purchase this one this past fall, $65,000. And good effort in the debut last week. As mentioned, the winds were strong, so the fact that this one got picked off in a fast final quarter, not shocking, and I'm sure they'll be looking to try and get a win under the belt here today. Gate rolling for qualifier number 5.
Qualifier number 5, Field of 8, is lining up. Number 1, Priority Lounge, is a 2-year-old colt by Shadow Play out of a no pan intended mare owned and bred by Millar Farms. Nick Gallucci trains, Bob McClure drives. 2, Dietrich Seelster, State Treasurer colt out of a Kamloops mare owned by Sally McDonald and Paul McDonald. Dr. Ian Moore trains, Sylvain Filion steers, a $65,000 London purchase. 3, First Glance, is a gelded son of Thinking Out Loud out of Whitefish Falls mare White Glance. The stable First Glance owns. Mario Baerjan is the trainer driver. 4 is Great Somewhere, a Some Beach Somewhere colt out of a Western Ideal mare owned by Reginald Pettipaw, Dr. Ruth Irving, Jills Landry, and Blake McIntosh. McIntosh trains, Doug McNair drives, $47,000 London buy. 5, Take Control, a gelded son of Control the Moment out of an Arts Place mare owned by Ben Moudry and Dan Legacy. Legacy Trains, James McDonald drives, $8,000 London Purchase. 6 is Magnum Moon, a Shadow Play colt at a Western Ideal mare owned by James Wellwood, Jeffrey Wellwood, trained by Jim Wellwood. Jody Jameson drives, $27,000 Lexington Purchase. 7 is Adrenaline Rush, a gelded son of Royal Majesty out of a Badlands Hanover mare owned by the stable Adrenaline Rush, trained by Kevin McMaster. Anthony McDonald drives, and the 8 is Initial Concept, Shadow Play colt out of a Rock and Roll Hanover mare owned by Dominic Chiravelli, Scott McEnany, Joe Tonelli, Mart West Racing Stable, McEnany trains, and the driver is Louis-Philippe Waugh. Initial Concept was a $37,000 Harrisburg buy. So this field of 8 is sent on their way for the 5th qualifier. And from the middle of this group, it is Magnum Moon who is going to forge his way ahead. Magnum Moon to be the early leader. Dietrich Seelster is in second. And then we're 3 across with Great Somewhere in the middle. Adrenaline Rush. Initial Concept's going to take back just to try and find a spot in the middle there. And it looks like there's one to land in right in front of Take Control, who gets away 6th. 7th is Priority Lounge. And 8th, that is, as they go past the opening quarter, First Glance. 30-1 was the opening split. Your leader is Magnum Moon, son of Shadow Play, leads by a length and a half, but Dietrich Seelster's out and around now for Filion. So he'll leapfrog to the lead just before 3/8. Dietrich Seelster, second qualifier for this son of State Treasurer, and he's put to the lead here in the second quarter. That puts Magnum Moon in the 2-hole, then racing in third, and tightening up the gap there is Adrenaline Rush, break of 3 lengths, going back to Great Somewhere in 4th, being followed 5th by Initial Concept. 6th, that is Take Control, and the final 2 in this group, Adrenaline Rush and First Glance. 59-2, the half-mile clocking as they enter the far turn. Dietrich Seelster is on the lead, and he's pacing strong, going around this big sweeping final turn here at Mohawk Park. The lead is growing. It's out to 3.5 lengths. Magnum Moon in second, trying to pick it up in third as they race towards 3/4. That continues to be Adrenaline Rush. 4th is Great Somewhere. 3/4 time, 1:27.2. So that was 28 seconds even in the third quarter. Dietrich Seelster is into the stretch. Dietrich Seelster on stop, putting in some bad steps there, but continuing to pace his Adrenaline Rush. In behind second is Magnum Moon. Out in the center of the track is Great Somewhere. Dietrich Seelster's got to find more. Here is Magnum Moon trying to reclaim the top spot. He led at this point the first time by, and as they come by for the final time, it is Magnum Moon to win. Dietrich Seelster was second. Third goes to Great Somewhere. Adrenaline Rush was 4th. First Glance 5th, followed by Initial Concept, Priority Lounge, and Take Control. 1:55.4 for Magnum Moon.
Fastest trip of the morning session so far, Magnum Moon, the son of Shadow Play, scoring from the pocket trip here for trainer Jim Wellwood and driver Jody Jameson, $27,000 yearling. Suffered an interference break last week, so had some confusion to get around. Still finished 4th, paced home in 28-3 last week, and then gets it done here this morning with that good trip in 55-4. Sparkling win time for this one. Magnum Moon, just the second foal from the mare Unread Hanover, and Genius Man was the first, and only 11 starts for this one, but a winner of almost $60,000 and a fast race record of 152-2. So I think they'll be ecstatic to see the performance from Magnum Moon today. And maybe a thought on that one, obviously, and Dietrich Seelster, the runner-up.
Yeah, well, good start for Magnum Moon. He shot off the wings of the gate well, and when you're pacing strong at the start and you're pacing strong at the line, you got to be happy. Of course, he got covered up there in the second quarter. Filion puts Dietrich Seelster around, wasn't going to sit in the 2-hole, and they're trying to do it on the front. And for a second consecutive week, he's going to tire late. He does hold on for second. They pace a good mile here this morning, but for Magnum Moon, connections have to be thrilled with that. You talked about him being the second foal from that Western Ideal mare, $27,000 Lexington buy, and you know, you talked about the interference break last week. That was going around the far turn. Sometimes you wonder how that's going to impact a horse, especially being their first experience. No impact on Magnum Moon. He was ready to rock here today.
Absolutely, and I think if we could describe, what we saw a week ago, yesterday, and again today, for the most part, they're still youngsters. There's a few of them that have some issues that have to be worked out, but for the most part, if you were going to give it an overview, I'm really impressed with the professionalism that we see here, and it's really just a case for these colts now, for the most part, about conditioning and seeing them finish up strong. And we've seen that a lot today. Big final quarters, of course, and that was the case for the winner, Magnum Moon. And another winning credit for Shadow Play. We saw a very impressive filly winning from him yesterday, and this colt looks like he'll be a player, likely in the Gold Series. Would you speculate to start?
I think so. I think that's a fair assessment. I'm of the belief that everybody really should try the Gold start. You want to see where you stack up. Of course, if you haven't shown much in the baby races, but if you got a victory under your belt, a 55 and a Peace Mile, I think you can try the Gold to see where you are. Of course, some people don't want to get discouraged early on, but with that performance here from Magnum Moon, it's why not? I hope they'd be ready. It's 2 qualifiers under his belt here now, and looking good.
I want to ask you quickly before we go to our break. We've got horses out warming up now, so we will be taking a break of approximately 45 minutes or so. We're hoping to catch up to some of the connections here during the break. We've got some feature content that we'll pass along for you as well. But wanted to ask you just for your thoughts from the first 5 races we've seen so far. Is there one that really stood out or really impressed you most?
I think it was Proline. For the Rays, Scott and Jack Ray, that performance, it's not going to be the fastest mile of the morning, 1:58 flat, but the last quarter is going to look real good. And I encourage everybody that's watching at home, we're getting those great shots of the horses after the finish. And you talked about trying to pull up Proline. He was as strong as you could be coming through that finish line, and probably still paced another eighth or almost another quarter going at pretty top speed. So I was really impressed with what I saw there from Proline, son of Sports Writer.
I agree. Although not the fastest time, I really love the body language of the horse. And last year it was Sportsline, connections from that part of the province with the son of Sports Writer really making a lot of noise over the last couple of seasons, I should say. And this guy off to a very good start, and the type of race that's really going to braven him up for when he returns to the racetrack. Blame It on the Whiskey was an impressive winner as well earlier from just off the pace. And I think I've got that name right. I'll have to double check that, but chime in. Did I get that name right?
Drowns the Whiskey.
Drowns the Whiskey. That's the one. Yep. And yeah, I thought he looked really good too from off the pace, just off the pace, and picking off a couple in the late stages. So that's great. We've got the first half of the morning session in the books. We'll let Mark take a break, catch his breath, and get ready to go with the back half of the card. As mentioned, for all of you watching today, we would love to hear from you. Leave us a comment. Everyone that does comment, whether it's with an answer to our poll question, just your thoughts on what you've seen so far today, you'll be entered into a draw for an Amazon.com gift card. And that's a $250 value. And from all of the people who commented on our coverage yesterday and today, you're all entered into that. And after today's program, we will draw the winner. We will post it online. And a big thank you to hoofbid.com for making that possible, a partner in our broadcasts this weekend. We've got that poll question. Let's give you another look at that. And got lots of time to give your answer. And we'll check the results today at the end of the day. Want to know which one of these stallions you think will have the biggest impact in the OSS this season? And they've all been fairly prominent so far through the first few qualifying days for the babies that we've seen. On the trotting side, Muscle Mass and Cadabra. And on the pacing side, we've given you the options of Sports Writer and Better Than Cheddar. So have your say, and we will recap the results at the end of the show. We also want to remind you the Ontario Sire Stakes, of course, gets underway officially today for 2020. Much anticipated debut. And the first ever Prospect Series will get it started later this afternoon at Hanover Raceway. What a beautiful day it is for that. 3-year-old filly pacers in that new series as part of the OSS program. Grassroots Series gets underway Friday, June 26th, right here at Woodbine Mohawk Park, with the 3-year-old filly pacers taking center stage. And on Sunday, June 28th at Georgian Downs, 3-year-old colt trotters will square off there as we get ready with the Gold Series for 2020. Just part of the Ontario Sire Stakes schedule. Take a look at their new revamped website as well, OntarioSirestakes.com, to find out more. A couple of trainers that we're looking forward to seeing some prospects from in the back half of the card today include Casey Coleman and Jack Darling, and they'll be very busy. Coleman with 5 starters altogether today, including a son of Betting Line, a great champion colt that she campaigned, and his anticipated first crop hitting the racetrack this year. This guy's a brother to Weeper, $570,000 yearling, and Jack Darling will send out 3 starters today, including the highly regarded Avion, Sealster, $80,000 son of sports writer who's already had a winner today on the card. So again, we are on break. We're going to catch up with some of those connections hopefully shortly. We've got some features to pass along and some words from our valued partners here today as well. Hope you're enjoying the coverage so far, and we'll be back with more shortly. You're watching the baby races from Woodbine Mohawk Park on KOSA TV.
Enjoy the thrill of the race anywhere, anytime with HPIBet.com. Join for free and use your smartphone, tablet, or PC to watch and wager when you can't be at the track. Stream live racing from over 450 tracks. Bet with ease from anywhere. It's safe and secure. Get rewards, race alerts, tips, and more. For a limited time, get $100 when you become a member. Plus, 1 month free live race streaming, and your first bet is on us. Go to HPIBet.com to join for free today.
Hi, my name is Brad Padakadoo, starting at the Western Fair as well as Hiawatha Horse Park in Sarnia and Clinton Raceway in the summer. I was training a stable of horses, and I just thought that maybe a little more financial security with a steady job, so that's how I went ahead and I wrote the starters exam and trained to become a starter. Ian Fleming was very valuable as like a liaison in that. I had talked to him about it, and then he said, well, there was definitely a need for starters. He didn't know how soon I would get an opportunity, but he said there's certainly a need of all the jobs at the racetracks, race secretaries and paddock judges as well. By still having horses and training horses, I'm aware of the expenses and all the sacrifices that it comes to having horses, the investment of time, the dedication. So I think that's the thing is, I know when I race a horse or whatever, you work on the horses all week, but that day is all built on the fact you're racing a horse. And I have a real sense of that. And now with the financial structure of the business and what it costs to keep a horse, I feel that that's probably one of the biggest pressures I feel, is make sure that everybody leaves feeling they got a good opportunity with their horse. There's a gentleman that steers the car, and we have a hand accelerator with a cable that is connected to the foot accelerator, so he can feel the accelerator going down. But from the moment the horses are picked up, the speeders work from the back of the car. We open and close the wings with this. I got a switch back here. So basically, ideally, you'd like to run it like a golf swing, where you just continually pick up speed and flow away from the horses. You don't want to come up to the start and then take off on them. You just want them to lead out on their front foot. So that's the thing is, that's where in which the consistency comes with the speed of the gait, and you just try and have the same rhythm and cadence. Obviously, better courses may go at a little quicker rate, but if you have the same rhythm, it works the best. And as far as when I get here, just to check the lights and check the wings, and obviously make sure the horn and the speaker works, and obviously have a two-way radio with the judges, and make sure I make radio contact with them before we begin the evening. we had one here about a month ago or whatever. We were just about to head down and get in position, and the racetrack lighting went out, and it was dark. Like it was just a very fortunate set of circumstances that the lights went out. It'd probably give it another 20 seconds, and we're in motion with the horses behind the gate. It just timing's everything. And also, I've started races on foggy nights, and it's a little unnerving. You call them, and you can't see with maybe 25 feet, and you can hear them coming, and and then it's just basically they come out of the fog and they're there. So I think that but after you've done it, you kind of get assimilated to it. But the first few times I did that, when you could hear them coming and you couldn't see them, was definitely a challenge. We have time parameters, and so when post time's set, and then the horses post parade, and then we get in position in the backstretch, and we would be 2 minutes out from post there, so I give a 2-minute notice, and then the horses, this is where it's the consistency and the rhythm that the horses start to come into position, and then I'll say 30 seconds, and then they basically, they're well aware of what post position they have, but when you call them in, you say if there's any scratches or anything, if there's a horse that's a trailer that maybe according to the program is not normal, that would be trailing, you apprise them of any different information, and then basically, the lights are turned on and sound the horn, and when the wings open, that's the thing is, I'm not one for halfway around the turn, tell them to get up in position. They know what is expected of them, and I don't want to disturb the other horses that are right and ready, and but anyways, they have a very cooperative bunch, and basically that's the thing is, and then around the turn, it's all about just checking to see if anybody gets interfered with or broken equipment or all the criteria of a recall. The drivers would feel that I'm there to cooperate with them, and not on a power trip. It's just basically, give everybody the best opportunity to make a living. And I think the thing is that, everybody, if they all cooperate, that's the best scenario.
Welcome back to coverage of the baby races this morning at Woodbine Mohawk Park. We are at the midway break, the intermission, and we've got special guests getting ready to join us now. We saw on the graphic there 5 starters today from Casey Colbin. Casey, want to ask you first of all, we expected to maybe see you with more out this morning, but you said this is kind of your what you consider your second string group, and then you've got a bigger group coming next weekend. Is that the case?
Bring 10 babies in at a time, and it's been like once or twice a week, if that, so I wasn't able to get them already on the same schedule. The 5 I got here, 3 of them are OSS, and the Ontario Sire Stakes starts the first week of the PA horses, and then I just brought 2 PA to make the 10 that are coming next week. Those are by far my best colts. 9 of them are betting lines. 1 of them's a brother of Sports Rider, a Sun Beach somewhere, and they're very, very nice. The 5 I got here today, 3 of them are pretty nice. 2 of them are a little bit of a weaker crop, but we'll see what they can do.
Okay, Captain of Rock and Roll is one that you like so far coming into today. Captain Treacherous colt, $50,000 yearling. Tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah, he's a nice colt. He's actually a homebred at Bob Hamather's. He actually bought him back in the sale because he didn't go for what he wanted. He's been really nice. He's kind of surprised me. He's a lazy colt. He doesn't do it easy, but the last couple times training here at Mohawk, he went his last mile 57 and a piece, home in 27, and he did it pretty easy and he looked good. Steve Condren works for me. He's been training him lately, and he says the last couple weeks this horse has really flipped a switch, and I'm excited to see what he does today.
That's a good point, right? You considered him a second stringer, you said, training down this year, but have you had that experience before where one that you thought was maybe a second stringer all the way down as you got into the racing season became a first liner?
Oh, definitely. I'd say the most recent, just a few years back, a horse, Alexis Faith. I really didn't like her much. She was only staked in the New York Sire Stake, and she just did what she had to do. And once we got her qualified, everybody was like, who is that? And I said, I didn't think she's much. And I think she made me about $500,000, mainly on the New York Sire Stakes, because she wasn't staked to much. So it happens for sure, and it happens in a bad way too. I'll have some that I think are killers, and they aren't. But like saying that, there's a horse I'm going with today, Bet Mine, and Randy just warmed him up his last trip here, and he's who I think my worst betting line is, and he doesn't do nothing wrong, just he's the worst one, I think, and Randy's never sat on him. He works for me also, actually, but he's never been on him, and he just said, man, this is a nice colt. He goes, I really like him. Is he one of your better ones? And I said, no, he's like my second worst one. But so you never know. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely. What about West Coast Kid, son of Better Than Cheddar from a Western Hanover mare made west? He's
been just awesome. I really like him. I don't know if he's much better than the Ontario Sire Stakes just yet. He is paid to Grand Circuit if he's good enough, but he can get a little bit aggressive on us, so we just got to make sure we keep him calm. But he's got a real nice gait, and he loves to pass horses, and I like him a lot. He's a nice colt.
And we've been talking a lot about maybe an underrated stallion, but one that's getting more and more attention, Big Jim. And you've got one from him in Springbridge Duel. What can you tell us about this guy? Yeah,
I'd never had a Big Jim before, and I really wasn't looking for one. I was at Harrisburg. I do not have very many OSS horses this year because I was concentrating on betting lines, which are PA. And I was looking at my numbers. I said, man, I really got to get some more OSS. I don't have many in the barn here. And I like to buy Sports Riders and Cheddars, but the ones I like were too expensive. And I got 2 Sports Riders, 1 Cheddar. But anyways, I got looking at him. He had a good family, and he is a very fast horse, very, very nice horse. Just he's another one. He's very excitable. He as long as they can keep him calm this racing season, and as long as nobody ever leaves with him, he can fly. But we actually had to have a horse whisperer work with this horse in Florida, and we actually had to geld him before we even had a harness on him. I bet you we line drove this horse for about 3 weeks. He was just crazy. He was very bad early, and he's still. But my trainers, Mark McKinnon and Ray Domenico in Florida, and Evelyn Harms that takes care of him, and right now Kayla Chappell, he's a hard horse to handle. They've done a fantastic job with him. I would have given up on him a long time ago, and they did an unbelievable job, and he looks like he's very fast.
Before we let you go, we want to ask you about Sports Rider, Better Than Cheddar, Betting Line. I mean, these are all horses you've campaigned, and now they're making their mark in the stallion shed, and they've made their mark in some cases when you look at Sports Rider in particular, and you see him still producing the way he is, and Better Than Cheddar now. We really noticed him in the last couple of weeks. I mean, that's got to be an incredible level of satisfaction and pride for you when you see their youngsters on the racetrack doing what they're doing.
Oh, very much. Let's say, I'll start on Cheddar. Like he's doing, I've just seen the last few weeks of qualifiers here. I've seen a lot of very, very nice Cheddars, and he didn't get a chance early. Like his first year, it was about 38 that he bred in New York, and nobody realizes. They just look at how much money they made and how many wins they had. Nobody looks at the numbers he got, and it literally was like 38, and there wasn't many to pick from the first couple years. Now, last year he bred around 200, I believe. This year, I think he's around 120 or so, so he's doing a lot better, and he's getting a little bit better quality of mares. You'll see Cheddars, they're not selling for high prices. They look great, fantastic conformation, they look great, but the mares simply are ones that are 8 foals and nothing made it to the races, and he's got a lot of those. But he's starting to get up there in better mares, and he's just been a fantastic sire. If anybody just prints up his numbers at the number of foals out there, how many raced and what they're doing, his numbers are fantastic, and I really believe he's going to make a top sire here soon. And then Sports Writer, his numbers speak for himself. He's had high numbers. He's unbelievable in the OSS. He's always right up there with Bettor's Delight in the OSS for top sires. I wish he'd have more of those Grand Champion horses. Like, obviously, he hasn't had many Grand Circuit winners. He's got Jimmy Fright, who's went on to stud, obviously, but he just doesn't have those $1 million winners in Grand Circuit horses. But saying that for OSS, he's always in there in the top 3 money, Sports Writer. And then Betting Line, like, we don't know yet, but they sure do look the part. They're training down fantastic, and I wish I had some of my better ones here today, because the one I have is one of my weaker betting lines, so everybody's going to judge them or something. But just wait a week and come watch the other 9 we got here next week, because they're pretty nice. And the other one going, I guess, is American Ideal, who speaks for himself. Like, he's champion after champion, some gone to stud. Like, he's just been fantastic. Also, I got 2 3-year-old American Ideals in the barn, and they're just nice horses.
Well, thank you, Casey, for taking a few minutes and joining us today and giving us the lowdown. And we look forward to seeing your horses today, and obviously, really looking forward to seeing your A group here next weekend as well.
Thanks very much.
That's Casey Coleman. We'll see her with 5 starters on the second half of today's qualifying session. As mentioned, Jack Darling will send out a trio that we're looking forward to watching here this afternoon as well. We're just on our intermission break. I hope you're enjoying coverage of the baby races on KOSA TV, and we'll be back with more in just a moment. Thank you again to hoofbid.com. Looking forward to this Sunday night's auction. Hoofbid.com, available for download on Google Play and the App Store. The revolutionary way to buy horses online, and a partner in our broadcast here this weekend of the baby races. Very impressive effort in qualifier 4 today came from a sports writer colt named Proline. And Scott Ray joining me. Scott did the driving. Father Jack trains and is part of the ownership as well. So this guy, Scott, I hadn't heard anything about him prior today. I didn't know a thing about the colt, but we certainly do now. That was impressive. Any surprise to you, or did you know what you were sitting on?
Well, it's funny, like, you only trained him in, say, 2-3, but I knew when I was doing it, I had a lot more left in the tank, and I figured today when I got to a nice surface like this, he'd kind of surprise me. And I knew speed was kind of a thing we had in our back pocket, and today he kind of showed that, we were right about that, so it was nice.
For those who maybe don't know, Scott, tell us where you guys are based and how many babies you would train
this
down.
year we bought 5 yearlings, all from the London Selected sale, and right now this guy obviously is the best one of the bunch, and we're training at the Dorchester Downs, which is a really nice facility to get the babies ready. So we've had a lot of intermediate miles, and we've been going 2 times a week all winter. So I was pretty confident in his conditioning. So it was fun to see that he was as good as I hoped. So.
And the way you drove him today, and I know we've spoken with you before. You said with youngsters, you certainly want to teach them the right way. You want to keep them brave, and especially when he's you think maybe your bread and butter horse as you look at it.
Yeah, well, it's funny, a lot of things go through your head. Like around the last turn, I was thinking of just kind of maybe just staying in and braving him up, and because I didn't want to go too much too quick. But when I got where I was, I thought, well, I'll teach him to pass, and that was one thing he's done well right throughout. As soon as you'd move him over, he'd try to pass a horse without you asking. So when I got to the top of the lane, then I just moved him over, and he did it easy today, which was nice. Like, it felt like there's a couple more gears left, and hopefully I won't have to use them real early, but we'll see.
And maybe just talk about the ownership group, your father Jack co-owns, and the other gentlemen that are
a guy named Fred Wolford and Doug Dunbar. They own a third each, and they were right in with us trying to pick them out. And we all did our best to try to scout out the right prospects, and hopefully our scouting was right on this guy. So it's been fun.
And you've said before too, you go to the sale, you don't have the huge budget to go after the real high-profile horses, so you really have to do your homework. What did you like about this guy at the sale?
Well, this guy here, when he was in he had a different video. He was in kind of a sand ring, and they were chasing him in circles, and he just kind of get his angle down, and he paced free-legged, and you could just see he'd just go, and he was real athletic the way he moved. So, and my dad's always liked sports writers, and that's kind of how we got on to. And actually, Otis Hall, whose friend was us and Scott Havershaw, he owned and raced his mother, and we knew her kind of. She was a tough horse, so we were hoping kind of those traits went into him. So hopefully it has.
And finally, what will be the plan with him short term here after today?
Well, that's up to the ownership group, and hopefully we can all have a talk and kind of come up with the best possible plan. It's usually I'll trust my dad. He makes those decisions, and he seems to always do well with them. So I just try to trust him and follow out whatever he kind of explains he wants for me to do. So.
Well, it looks like you've got a good one, guys, and want to wish you the best of luck with them this season.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it.
All right,
see you guys.
Scotty Ray driving Proline to victory this morning for Father Jack, who co-owns and trains, and he was an off-the-pace winner in 158-1, and very impressive in doing it. As you can see, we're on our intermission break here this morning, but we expect to be back into action very soon. And horses just finishing their warm-ups here, and some maintenance happening in the paddock as we get set for what we anticipate will be an exciting back half of this morning's qualifying session. We've got 5 in the book so far, 6 more races to go this morning, and some high-profile individuals. Make sure to check out the free game, Ontario Racing's freescratch.ca, teaming up with COSA and Ontario Racing. You can play for free every day win all kinds of great prizes potentially, absolutely free to do so, and you get a new chance to play each and every day. So check it out at freescratch.ca. As well, make sure you have a look and check out the new Dark Horse app. If you're not an HPI Bet account holder, well, perhaps Dark Horse is the app for you. If you're a newbie and looking to learn how to wager and or try and maybe take the intimidation out of wagering on horse racing, this could be for you. Check it out, Dark Horse. Download the app today. PlayDarkHorse.com for more information. Again, we're on a short break, and we will be back with the second half of today's qualifying races from Woodbine Mohawk Park here on KOSA TV.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go back and take a look at the results from qualifier number 5. That was our final qualifier before this morning's break. In the 5th qualifier, top to bottom, number 1, Priority Lounge, was 7th. Number 2, Dietrich Seelster, was 2nd. 3, First Glance, was 5th. Number 4, Great Somewhere, 3rd. Number 5, Take Control, 8th. Number 6, Magnum Moon, the winner. Number 7, Adrenaline Rush, 4th. And number 8, Initial Concept, was 6th. 7-2-5, 3-8, 1-4-6 is your order of finish. Fractions were 30-1, 59-2, 127-2, 155-4 for the winner. Number 6, Magnum Moon. 2-year-old colt by Shadow Play. The Western Ideal mare, Unread Hanover. This is the second foal from that Western Ideal mare, owned by Jim Wellwood, Jeffrey Wellwood, and BC Reichheld Stables. Jim Wellwood trains. Jody Jameson was in the sulky, a $27,000 Lexington Select Yearling purchase.
And welcome back to Woodbine Mohawk Park. There is the scene on what is an absolutely ideal morning for baby races. And we have 11 in total, 5 of them already in the books. And just completing our intermission break, we'll have the starters for qualifier number 6 getting set to step out onto the track here in just a moment. And yes, indeed, there they are exiting our paddock location. Already some impressive performances. Mark McKelvey, who's been calling the action for us here this morning. And great to hear from some of the connections. Casey Coleman, for example, saying that the ones we're going to see today are her second stringers. So it'll be interesting to see how they perform, because she said her A group is all set to invade Woodbine Mohawk Park next weekend.
Yeah, that'll be fun to watch, to see how those horses perform here today, because if any of them happen to really catch our eye, what's that speak for the ones we're going to see next week? It'll be fun to track those from her stable, and I think coming up here in the back half of this qualifying session, there are a few that really stood out to me, some good bloodlines. So I think the fun has just started. We had some good performances at the beginning of the morning. Now we're getting even a little more warmer here today. 6 more to go. Looking forward to what we're about to see. 6 more to go.
A fun time of year, and and great to see. We caught up with Scott Ray there as well. Great to see the excitement on his face. They couldn't have been any happier with their Colt Pro line, and that's what it's all about this time of year. It's that anticipation with these youngsters. You're not really sure what you have. You think you've got a nice one, and we start to separate them here in these qualifying races, and we look forward to some really good performances here in the back half of today's session. There's an intriguing individual to me, Mark. Hurry Mickey Hanover, son of Always Be Mickey, from the champion Hannah Hanover. She was a millionaire herself. She's already produced the 147-3 winner Hayden Hanover. This guy finished 5th last week. He was badly beaten 21 lengths in the qualifier last week. What did you make of that? How much did you read into that effort a week ago?
Well, when you're trying to track all the horses, some of them are going to probably slip by you, and the ones that finish 21 lengths back you might not notice. But that being said, I've been waiting all week just to see how those horses that raced last week are going to come back, and I wouldn't be shocked if Hurry Mickey Hanover from Blake McIntosh's barn is able to have a good bounce back performance. Of course, Always Be Mickey, this is his first crop, and they've been making some noise south of the border. It's been a good debut in the first couple of weeks for the co-fastest standardbred of all time. Hannah Hanover as well, you talked about what she's been able to produce as a broodmare. She was fantastic on the track, 1.2 million made, a Breeders' Crown champion. Her most recent foal that was racing last year, now a 3-year-old named Captain Nemo, and he showed tremendous speed here racing in the Dreammaker series last August here at Mohawk Park. Real high speed from that youngster. He's a son of Captain Treacherous. So I think the Hurry Mickey Hanover has definitely got it in the bloodlines that he could find a little more, and I think it's safe to say we could see that here today.
And they don't all develop at the same rate, so who knows, how he will progress. We could see dramatic improvement here this week, or he might be one that will take a little bit longer to get there. Time will tell.
Wings of the starting gate are now open. We're going to get a look
at the 6th coming up next.
Here we go for qualifier number 6. We are resuming with this morning's action. 2-year-old pacing colts and geldings all morning, and that's exactly what we've got. And here is the field. Number 1, No Free Lunch, a 2-year-old gelded son of Sunshine Beach out of a Western Maverick mare. Owned by the stable No Free Lunch, trained by Harry Polton. Anthony McDonald drives. 2, Hurry Mickey Hanover, and Always Be Mickey colt out of a Western Hanover mare, owned by Blake McIntosh and Ridgeway Racing, along with the Flanagan sisters. McIntosh trains, James McDonald drives, to $37,000 Harrisburg buy. 3 is Jolsey Hanover, a 2-year-old colt by J.K. End of an Era, out of a Camluck mare, owned by Ellie Bale and John Pentland. Pentland trains, Bob McClure drives, a $15,000 Harrisburg buy. 4, Next Big Thing, a gelded son of Shadow Play out of an Intrepid Sealster mare owned by Robert McIntosh Stables, CSX Stables, and Dave Boyle. Bob McIntosh trains, Trevor Henry is in the sulky. 5, King and Duke is a 2-year-old colt by Shadow Play out of a Magical Mike mare owned by Le Curie GLD Incorporated, La Ferme Tag Incorporated, Jean Roche Marois. The trainer is Gerard Demers. The driver will be Sylvain Filion. This was a $10,000 London buy. 6, Fonzie Ciacciarelli is a better than Cheddar Colt out of a Sports Rider mare owned by Ken Middleton. Middleton trains. Louis Waugh is in the sulky. 7, Uncontrollable, Control the Moment Colt out of a Precious Bunny mare owned by Scott McEnany, who trains. Doug McNair drives. A $6,000 London buy. As the starting gate swings into the stretch for qualifier number 6. And they're off and pacing as we resume with this morning's action. And it's Joel Z. Hanover who splits out from post position number 3. Good speed towards the inside from Hurry Mickey Hanover, and Uncontrollables driving from the outside for McNair. King and Duke is going to be forwardly placed. At the inside is No Free Lunch. Then it is Next Big Thing, and Fonzie Ciacciarelli will get away in 7th. Around the first turn they go, and it's going to be Uncontrollable and Doug McNair to touch down on the lead at the opening quarter in 30 seconds even. So a 30-second opener for Uncontrollable, and this son of Control the Moment in his debut qualifier is up top. In 2nd is Joel Z. Hanover. Racing in 3rd is Hurry Mickey Hanover. 4th is No Free Lunch. Settling in 5th is King and Duke. And then the final pair as they race up the backside, Next Big Thing and Fonzie Ciacciarelli. This group of 7 is being led by Uncontrollable, a $6,000 yearling buy, leading by 2 lengths off a 30-second opener. He's past the half in 59. No, make that 1 minute even. So another 30-second split here for Uncontrollable, who is not like his name, that's for sure. He's looking good on the lead. He leads by nearly 2 lengths. Joel Z. Hanover is in 2nd. 3rd is Hurry Mickey Hanover. 4th, No Free Lunch. Inside 5th, King and Duke. Now advancing on the outside is Next Big Thing. Fonzie Ciacciarelli will follow his path. Out from 4th now, coming with a quick rush. Here comes No Free Lunch, and No Free Lunch is quickly up on even terms and looking to sweep on by to the lead. 3 quarters was 1:30-4. 30-4 in the 3rd quarter. That was the slowest quarter to this point. They spin into the stretch, and No Free Lunch strikes the front. Here's No Free Lunch on top. Uncontrollable back in 2nd. In the center of the track, Joel Z. Hanover. And then in 4th is Hurry Mickey Hanover. 16th to go. No Free Lunch is on top. Approaching the edge of the tote board, No Free Lunch will win. Finishing 2nd, Uncontrollable. 3rd was Joel Z. Hanover. Then it was Hurry Mickey Hanover, followed by Next Big Thing, King and Duke, and Fonzie Ciacciarelli. 1:56-4. 26-second final quarter. The winner, No Free Lunch.
Fastest final quarter of the day so far. 26 seconds even for the winner. No Free Lunch. No Free Lunch. Won by Sunshine Beach from Simply Marvelous, who was a very productive race mare, and over the course of her career, banked $350,000 the hard way. Her production record includes Chocolate Milk Toast, the Dolly sibling to No Free Lunch, who really looked good here this morning. And No Free Lunch is one that won last week in 58-4, Mark, 27-4. And again, for those who didn't watch last week and weren't aware of how the weather conditions played into the day, that was as good or better a final quarter than anybody had produced last week, and showing that was no fluke today.
Yeah, 100%. And Anthony McDonald pulled on the right line going to 3 quarters. He couldn't wait any longer, and that was a quick.
As I mentioned, the slowest quarter of from home in 26. I don't care if it is a slow 3/4 time, a good 26-second kicker like that will catch your attention. And that's back-to-back weeks now that we've seen good performances from No Free Lunch. Connections have to be real happy here with what they've got, a gelded son of Sunshine Beach. So there we go, Ontario sired, and Sunshine Beach gets on the board here this morning.
controllable. We talked about control the moment from just a handful of starters so far. They're all looking good. They all look like they're going to make very good racehorses and all going to be a good fit somewhere in the OSS program. And Joel C. Hanover finishing third, the JK End of an Era son of Jan's Luck, $1 million winning daughter of Cam Luck. 6 qualifiers completed. They're making their way out now for qualifier number 7. Off the top, we talked about Jack Darling, I should say, and Casey Coleman, both going to be prominent this morning, and we're going to start to see some of their performers hitting the racetrack here next, including Metallica, the number 1, a son of Shadow Play, homebred, son of Fade to Black. She was an unraced daughter of Northern Luck, but the second Dame Decor certainly was a great one for Jack, winner of $350,000 herself, and the mother of Northern Sky. So a sister to Northern Sky, teaming up with Shadow Play for Metallica here. Jody Jamieson with the drive, and there's a good look at that one just exiting our paddock location. Mark, who have you got your eye on here in qualifier 7?
Well, turning the page to the 7th qualifier for myself as I was just getting the rundown. Definitely, if we're going to get to see a chance to get a look at Captain of Rock and Roll, Casey Coleman, Herlihy, already talking about what she's got here for us this morning, but a son of Captain Treacherous out of a Rock and Roll Hanover mare that they gave $50,000 for. I'll have my eye on that one. And how about for Greg and Doug McNair? Big Idea from the outside. As consistent as they come here in Ontario is Greg McNair, and this is one that's going to debut a son of Big Jim.
There's a look at Captain of Rock and Roll, good-looking individual, $50,000 one that actually was bought back, I should say, by the breeder Bob Hamather of Exeter, Ontario. Between I and You, last week a winner in 201, and at first glance that wouldn't really turn your head, but it was the way she did it, or way he did it, I should say. He was impressive in victory last week. I think well in hand coming to the wire. Son of State Treasurer looked good, and I think we'll drop the time dramatically here this morning. Whether that'll be good enough to win remains to be seen. Some other good-looking individuals stepping onto the racetrack here for the 7th. But before that, Mark has the rundown from back in qualifier 6.
Order of finish from the 6th qualifier. Number 1, No Free Lunch was the winner. Number 2, Hurry Mickey Hanover 4th. Number 3, Jolsey Hanover 3rd. Number 4, Next Big Thing 5th. Number 5, King and Duke 6th. Number 6, Fonzie Ciacciarelli was 7th. Number 7, Uncontrollable 2nd. And number 8 was scratched. 1, 4, 3, 5, 6, 7, 2, scratch on the bottom. Fractions were 30, a minute, 130 and 4, 156 and 4 for the winner. Number 1, No Free Lunch, a 2-year-old gelded son of Sunshine Beach out of the Western Maverick mare Simply Marvelous, owned by the stable No Free Lunch, trained by Harry Polton, driven to victory by Anthony McDonald, a second consecutive baby race victory for No Free Lunch, home in 26 even for a 156 and 4 score. In the upcoming 7th qualifier, Chris Christoforou will drive number 4, Salzbrook Hero.
So that's a look at the field of 8. A reminder, Christoforou on 4, Salzbrook Hero, as you heard Mark mention. That one an $18,000 yearling purchase, son of Better Than Cheddar from Heroin Hanover. Mark, I talked a little bit about Between I and You. Wasn't the fastest winner from last weekend, but was one of the more impressive. Wouldn't be shocked to see that one drop substantial time today.
Nope. Shouldn't be surprised if that one does, because we've seen some of them already do that. Perfect conditions, and Wayne McGeen looking to have another successful Ontario Sire Stakes candidate. So as they go, let's meet the field for the 7th.
Number 1, Metallica, a Shadow Play colt out of a Northern Luck mare, owned and bred by Jack Darling Stables Limited. Darling trains, Jody Jamieson drives. 2, Treasure Delight, State Treasure, a colt out of a Rock and Roll Hanover mare owned by Doug Millard, trained by Chantel Mitchell. Randy Waples will drive. This was a $17,000 Lexington Select graduate. 3, Where We Was Up is a Where We Needy gelding out of a Rock and Roll Heaven mare owned by the stable Where We Was Up. Kevin McMaster trains, Anthony McDonald steers. 4, Salzbrook Hero is a Better Than Cheddar colt out of a Some Beach Somewhere mare owned by Dustin Jones stables. Jones trains, Chris Christoforou drives, $18,000 London buy. 5, Captain of Rock and Roll is a Captain Treacherous colt out of a Rock and Roll Hanover mare owned and bred by Bob Hamather. Casey Coleman Herlihy will train, and Bob McClure four-wheel drive, $50,000 Harrisburg grad. 6 is Old Joe, a roll with Joe Cold out of a Western Hanover mare owned by Hut Racing Stable, Steve Heimbecker and Blake McIntosh. McIntosh trains. Louis Watt drives, a $14,000 Goshen purchase. 7 Between I and You. Capers 3 stable owns. Wayne McGee trains. Sylvain Filion drives the son of State Treasure out of a Camlock mare. And the 8 is Big Idea. Greg McNair, Jim Newton, Bloomingwood Farms, and Paul Kidd are the owners. Greg McNair trains. Doug McNair driving the son of Big Jim out of an Art Major mare. That's your field of 8, and they are set on their way here in qualifier number 7. And it'll be Old Joe who comes through in the center. Outside of him is Between I and You. So they were next door neighbors on the wings of the gate, and they're 1-2 driving into the first turn. Warrawee Was Up gets away in third. Metallica is then in fourth. Captain of Rock and Roll on the outside. His inside is Salzbrook Hero, followed by Treasure Delight, and the final one is Big Idea. Opening split 30 seconds flat, and the rookies now work their way up into the backstretch, and it's a 2.5 length lead here for Between I and You. A winner last week in 2:01 with a 28-2 final quarter. Between I and You is going to do the heavy lifting here this morning as Filion puts his son of State Treasurer on the lead. Old Joe is in second, racing in third. That is Warrawee Was Up. Then tightening up in fourth is Metallica with a break of 4 lengths back to Captain of Rock and Roll in fifth. Then sixth, that's Salzbrook Hero. Seventh is Treasure Delight, and Big Idea is eighth. The half is hitting 59-1. 29-1 second quarter here for Between I and You. Between I and You is cutting the mile, leading here by just less than 2 lengths, while Old Joe is in second. Third is Warrawee Was Up. Then racing in fourth is Metallica. Still fifth, Captain of Rock and Roll, followed by Salzbrook Hero, Treasurer Delight, Big Idea. Nobody off the wood just yet as they hit 3 quarters in 1:28-1. That was a third quarter in 29 seconds even. And Between I and You is now looking to storm on home for a second consecutive baby race score. Old Joe has something to say about that in the middle. So too does Warrawee Was Up. And on the far outside, Captain of Rock and Roll. In between rivals, Metallica now looking for some clear racetrack. But here's Captain of Rock and Roll from mid-pack all the way around, sweeping by in the lane to win. Captain of Rock and Roll will take it. Second was Warrawee Was Up. Third then went to Old Joe, followed fourth by Metallica. 1:56-3 for Captain of Rock and Roll.
Well, that was certainly an eye-catching off-the-pace rally from Captain of Rock and Roll. Well off the front runners, turning for home, sweeps by and wins easily at 1:56-3. Final quarter in the race, 28-2, but his final quarter much, much faster than that. And Mark, we were joking. We talked to Casey in her intermission, and she said this was her second string, what she considered her second string of youngsters at this point in time. She has a large brigade coming here next weekend, and we laughed and said, we anticipate we'll probably see some pretty good things this morning. So if this is the second string, what can we expect next weekend?
Yeah, exactly. That's a real good point. Captain of Rock and Roll just sits there mid-pack, and as we talked about, sweeps by in the lane. That final quarter, as you talked about, will be pretty good looking on the charted line once that does come out. But Captain Treacherous colt, Captain Treacherous, obviously has become one of the top stallions in the sport. Wasted little time when he moved on to his second career, and his offspring have been very impressive. Rock and Roll example, the dam here, this is her first foal. She made just under $400,000 in her career, so we talked about this one being a buyback for breeder Bob Hamather, and if this is the second string, can't wait to see the first string, Greg.
Absolutely, and it looked very impressive just walking out. That's the beauty of being here at this location, getting a good close-up view, and we've got our camera operator right here getting some close-up shots of them coming out on the track. So there's the odd one that certainly catches your eye, and that was one of them as they were heading out to the racetrack and catching our eye with that stretch drive or stretch kick to get it done in 1:56-3 from off the pace. So we turn our attention next to qualifier number 8 here this morning. We've got 11 in total, so 4 more left to go, and another good-looking group here on paper. Big Teddy right off the bat, the number 1, is one that I'm interested in seeing, Mark. Bill's fella, the older brother, he's been a hard hitter, winner of $250,000, son of Artistic Fella. So the mare, Lucky Louisa, teams up here with Big Jim for this one, sent out by the same connections that had Bill's fella, including trainer Greg McNair, and one that I I'm anxious to see if there's any similarities with the older brother or what kind of potential this one has. But certainly some other good ones when you look at the pedigree in here as well.
The dam that you already mentioned a moment ago, Lucky Louisa, her half-sister Swift Alley was a performer we watched in the Ontario Sire Stakes, and I think she's just going to be similar to a Bills fella type. She'll be able to continue to rack up the earnings, and a tough filly now mare is coming from that family. So for those connections, looking forward to seeing what Big Teddy will do from the rail. The most expensive yearling purchase in this group is number 2, Avion Sealster. Jack Darling, we already talked about his most recent 2-year-old they just out in the last qualifier. Here he sends out a son of Sports Writer that they gave $80,000 for at the London sale, and Jody Jamieson will team up with that son of Sports Writer, as I mentioned.
Coleman McClure going to team up again. We saw them just stepping onto the track with number 3, Bet Mine, the son of Betting Line. The only one from that stallion that Casey sends out today, she said, I believe 8 or 9 betting lines will be part of her entourage here next weekend. And again, this is one that she thinks, at least at this stage of the game, she would consider a second stringer in her stable. Brother, though, to a $570,000 winner called Weeper. And the mare is Pleasant Yet Bad, a Badlands Hanover mare. Twinbee Heartthrob, number 4, Better Than Cheddar colt out of Twinbee Intimate. And that means this one's a brother to no less than 5 winners of $100,000 or more. So great pedigree potential for this one. And very, very sharp winner a week ago for trainer Wayne McGean and driver Sylvain Filion in 57-3, one of the quickest miles we saw last weekend here. Will likely have to go a bit faster than that to emerge victorious here today. You can't touch this number 5, another by Sire Control the Moment. The Art Major mare Ballanine was a $300,000 winner herself, and this will be the first foal from that mare. You Can't Touch This occupies post 5 today for trainer Dustin Jones and driver Chris Christoforou. Getting a look there at the 4, Twinbee Heartthrob, who we spoke of moments ago, and one that is looking to come back with a second consecutive win here in qualifying action at Woodbine, Mohawk Park. Another interesting newcomer here for a couple of reasons. First of all, he's a Gray, son of Some Beach Somewhere. Don't see that too often. And his name is Somewhere in Verona. And that's scheduled to be your post-8 starter. First time we're going to see this one in action. New recruit into the Blake McIntosh stable. He wintered in Truro, Nova Scotia, in the barn of Emmons McKay. Emmons, father of Ozzie McKay, who shares ownership here with Reg Pettipaw, and Blake McIntosh, who does the training. So that one's scheduled to go here as well from post 8, and we'll have a look and see which ones do come out onto the track for this 8th of 11 qualifying events here this morning. Mark has the rundown from back in qualifier 7.
Here are the results from the 7th qualifier. Number 1, Metallica was 4th. Number 2, Treasure Delight 6th. Number 3, Warwi was up with 2nd. Number 4, Salzburg Hero 8th. Number 5, Captain of Rock and Roll the winner. Number 6, Old Joe 3rd. Number 7, Between I and You was 5th. And number 8, Big Idea was 7th. 462, 81, 357, Jordan a finish. Fractions 30 flat, 59-1, 128-1, 156-3 for the winner. Number 5, Captain of Rock and Roll, a 2-year-old colt by Captain Treacherous out of the Rock and Roll Hanover Mare Rock and Roll Example. Owned and bred by Bob Hamather. Casey Coleman Hurley is the trainer. Bob McClure was in the sulky, a $50,000 Harrisburg grad. Next up is qualifier number 8. The wings of the starting gate are now open. No changes here. It's a field of 8. Number 1 is Big Teddy, a 2-year-old colt by Big Jim out of the Kamluk mare Lucky Louisa. Owned and bred by Ian Fleming and Greg McNair. Greg McNair trains, Doug McNair drives. 2, Avion Sealster is a sports rider colt out of the Pandarosa mare Aqua Rosa, owned by Jack Darling Stables Limited. Darling trains, Jody Jamieson drives, an $80,000 London buy. 3, Bet Mine, a betting line colt out of a Badlands Hanover mare, owned by Hut Racing Stable, trained by Casey Coleman Hurley, driven by Bob McClure, a $40,000 Lexington purchase. 4, Twinbee Heartthrob is a Better Than Cheddar colt out of the Pandarosa mare Twinbee Intimate. Capers 3 Stable owns, Wayne McGean trains, Sylvain Filion drives, a $20,000 London purchase. 5, You Can't Touch This, Control the Moment colt out of an Art Major mare owned by Dustin Jones Stables and Diane Lapine, trained by Dustin Jones. Chris Christoforou drives, $17,000 Harrisburg buy. 6 is Beef and Cheddar, a Better Than Cheddar gelding out of a Royal Majesty mare owned by the stable Beef and Cheddar and Matthew Chappell. Anthony McDonald trains and drives. 7 is Bet on Blake, a Better Than Cheddar colt out of a Shadow Play mare owned by John Copus Stables, Clay Horner, Dry Bar Stables, and Brian Zong, trained by John Copus. Randy Waples drives, a $23,000 London purchase. And 8, Somewhere in Verona, Some Beach Somewhere colt out of a Western Terre mare owned by Pettipaw Stable, Ozzie McKay, Blake McIntosh, Gilles Landry, trained by Blake McIntosh. James McDonald drives, a $22,000 Harrisburg purchase. Field of 8 is set on their way for qualifier number 8, and striding out to the early lead is Twin Bee Heartthrob, fast off the wings of the gate, and will front this field of 8 towards the first turn. Beef and Cheddar slides into second, up the inside. Avion Sealster gets away third. You Can't Touch This will drop in fourth in front of Bet Mine, who gets away in fifth. Then racing 6 as they go around that first bend Somewhere in Verona in front of Big Teddy, and the final one is Bet on Blake. 29-1 was the opening quarter, and they race into the backstretch, a length and a half advantage here for Twin Bee Heartthrob. Second qualifier for this son of Better Than Cheddar was a winner last week in 157-3 on a morning that was very windy. The track was good and 2 seconds off. That was a sharp performance, and he's looking for a repeat here today. Got company, though, as Beef and Cheddar sits right on his back in second, and then right up there third is Avion Sealster. They've got about a 5-length break on the rest of them, as we'll go to You Can't Touch This in fourth, followed fifth by Bet Mine, then sixth, that is Somewhere in Verona, followed by Big Teddy, and the last one is Bet on Blake. The half was hit in 59 seconds flat, 29-4 in the second quarter. That was after a 29-1 split. They were racing around the final turn, and now from third, Jameson cues up Avion Sealster, and Avion Sealster flies up to the lead. Avion Sealster takes the top spot now away from Twin Bee Heartthrob, and also coming to the outside, that is Beef and Cheddar. Then it's well back to You Can't Touch This, and the final 4 at the back of the pack. 3 quarters, 127-4. 28-4 third quarter. New leader Avion Sealster, the son of Sports Rider, is looking to close this one out. Twin Bee Heartthrob back in second, called upon, and McDonald is queuing up Beef and Cheddar, and he's finding a little bit more. Avion Sealster green dipping to the rail there, and that's going to open up the doors here in the middle for Twin Bee Heartthrob, and on the outside Beef and Cheddar. It'll be Twin Bee Heartthrob to come back for the win. Beef and Cheddar was second, third was Avion Sealster, then it was You Can't Touch This, followed by Somewhere in Verona, Bet Mine, Big Teddy, and Bet on Blake, 156 flat.
.156 is the win time, one of the quickest of the morning so far. Twin Bee Heartthrob coming right back with a second consecutive victory here over the Campbellville Oval, and the son of Better Than Cheddar. Maybe a little bit of help here, Mark, with Avion Sealster, as you mentioned it. I think greenness, and really the first sign of seeing much of that this morning overall. Just kind of dipped to the inside and couldn't quite keep it together late, but I'm sure Jack Darling will get things sorted out with that one. I made a nice move on the final turn, but there's Twin Bee Heartthrob coming right back and looking pretty professional at this point in his career.
Yeah, he does, and he's got the confidence boost of having 2 consecutive baby race scores to begin his career. Was looking good on the lead and comfortable on the lead, but of course that move by Avion Sealster was strong on the final turn, and as you talked about, that's something that, and I think I've been calling the baby races for 4 or 5 years now, that was something 4 or 5 years ago you'd see multiple horses doing. These 2-year-olds just each year just continue to get better and better, and they just know what their job is, but gets green, and like you said, they'll get that horse straightened out. An $80,000 yearling buy that for 7/8 of a mile was looking pretty good. So we'll put a circle on Avion Sealster for when he returns. Beef and Cheddar, a grinding effort there. He was 5th last week, gets a 2nd place finish here today, and that son of Better Than Cheddar it certainly held his own. The rest of them never really were in the mix in this one, which is interesting. The only other horse that was up near the front would have been You Can't Touch This. The rest just doing it on their own, and that's what you're going to get sometimes with some of these babies in their first time on the track and their first time they're going to the gate. Everybody's got their own assignment for the day.
Yeah, exactly. They're all at different stages of their progression. Some of them simply aren't at the same talent level as well, and this is where you start to sort that out if you're the connections of these horses, trying to figure out where to place them. Speaking of that, good time to maybe quickly remind you that the Ontario Sire Stakes for 2020 will kick off today with the first ever Prospect Series, newly added component to the OSS program, and it starts later today at Hanover Raceway. Their program begins at 2 o'clock. So nice, Mark, that you now have that third option. The grassroots and the gold, there sometimes isn't much of a drop-off in terms of talent between the two, and that was really meant to be the case. Now you've got the Prospect Series for those ones that just, for whatever reason, just aren't at the same talent level, at least at this point in time. They've got another option out there.
Yeah, they do, and I was interested to see what the numbers were going to be for this first weekend of the Prospect Series. I think they landed around 20 horses for the opening weekend there at Hanover Raceway, 3-year-old pacing fillies. The reason I was just curious to see what that would be is the fact that if you go in the first leg of the Prospect Series, you can't then race in the first leg of the grassroots, but it does feel, and the trainers know their horses best. They know probably where they slot in, so we'll see if there's a bit of movement. Maybe the Prospect Series winners will try the grassroots the second time around, and there'll certainly be some that'll probably drop out of the grassroots after that first leg. So good component that's been added to the OSS program here, and continues to show why the OSS is likely the leading Sire Stakes program in North America.
Agreed. If not the best, it's certainly right up near the top. We had a look at the distinctive-looking Perfect Boy Hanover a moment ago coming onto the racetrack. He's got the big white blaze down the front, the Roman nose, so he's not really a typical looking Some Beach Somewhere, but based on how he's trained down and the talent that appears to be there, he seems to have caught some of that. Blake McIntosh, we've talked to him a few times, Mark, leading up to this moment today, where we're going to see Perfect Boy Hanover in qualifying action for the first time, and he's liked them all the way down, and he's had them right up at the top of his 2-year-old group this year.
Yeah, and Doug McNair was listed on a Casey Coleman-Hurley trainee in here, but of course he'll stick with Perfect Boy Hanover, so he'd be well aware of what the expectations are, and we'll see what this Son of Some Beach Somewhere can do. We'll have post position number 3, as I think almost all of them have now stepped out onto the track. So we're likely going to have this full field here for the 9th. But while I've got a moment, I'll just take us back and give you the results from qualifier number 8.
Qualifier number 8, here is the order of finish. Number 1, Big Teddy was 7th. Number 2, Avion Sealster 3rd. Number 3, Bet Mine was 6th. Number 4, Twinbee Heartthrob, the winner. Number 5, You Can't Touch This, 4th. Number 6, Beef and Cheddar, 2nd. Number 7, Bet on Blake, 8th. And number 8, Somewhere in Verona, was 5th. 7, 3, 6, 1, 4, 2, 8, 5 is your order of finish. Fractions 29 and 1, 59, 127 and 4, 156 flat for the winner. Number 4, Twinbee Heartthrob. 2-year-old colt by Better Than Cheddar. Out of the Ponderosa mare, Twinbee Intimate. Bred by Twinbrook Limited, owned by Capers 3 Stable, a $20,000 London yearling sale by Wayne McGeen trained. Sylvain Filion drives. Second consecutive baby race score, 156 for Twinbee Heartthrob. Here in qualifier number 9, a couple of driver notes. Jonathan Drury drives the 7, Beach Blogger, and James McDonald will drive the 5, Watch My Beverage.
And Watch My Beverage was the last one that we saw come onto the track, so I believe they are all out there and getting ready to assemble in the backstretch. Another interesting one to have a look at here is Socrates Blue Chip, number 6, a son of He's Watching. The day put on a clinic, has already produced a $500,000 winner by the name of Obvious Blue Chip. This one a $35,000 yearling purchase. Looks like a buyback. Blue Chip Bloodstock Incorporated bred, and actually owns this son of He's Watching. So that's one that we'll keep an eye on here as the starting gate is now in motion for qualifier number 9. Once again, let's go back up to Mark.
Starting gate rolling. Qualifier number 9, 2-year-old pacing colts and geldings. Number 1 is Dragon Teen, a He's Watching colt out of a Dragon Again mare, owned and bred by Bob Key, Rod Boyd trains, and Sylvain Filion drives. The 2, Loyal Will, a Better Than Cheddar colt out of a Dream Away mare, owned by Winback Farm, trained by Blake McIntosh, James McDonald drives. The 3, Perfect Boy Hanover, or I should say the 2 is scratched out of this qualifier. So number 3, and starting from post 2, will be Perfect Boy Hanover. 2-year-old colt by Some Beach Somewhere out of a Better's Delight mare, owned by Fred Brayford, Blake McIntosh, Ridgeway Racing, and Knockzilia Stable, trained by Blake McIntosh. Doug McNair drives, a $95,000 Harrisburg buy. 4, Vino Louis, Sports Writer called out of a Blissful Hall mare owned by Claire Bradshaw, Brian Jameson. Bradshaw trains, Scott Young drives, $30,000 London buy. 5, Watch My Beverage is a He's Watching colt out of a Dragon Again mare owned by Dean Lockhart, Jeffrey Ruck, and Paul Hauman, trained by Greg McNair. James McDonald drives. 6, Socrates Blue Chip, He's Watching colt out of a Rock and Roll Hanover mare owned and bred by Blue Chip Bloodstock. Jeff Gillis trains, Jody Jameson drives, a $35,000 Harrisburg grad. 7, Beach Blogger, West Wind Stable, Steve Heimbecker, Kevin McKinley, and J.L. Benson Stable share ownership of this son of Sports Writer of a Shotgun Scott mare. Jonathan Drury drives for trainer Casey Coleman Hurley, a $50,000 Harrisburg buy. And number 8 is Island Beach Boy, a Some Beach Somewhere colt out of an Armborough McIntosh mare owned by Ian Smith and Arnold Hagen, trained and driven by Marcel Barriot. They're off and pacing in the 9th qualifier, and out to the early lead. This is Vino Louis. So Vino Louis, take 2 for this son of Sports Writer. He'll front the field into the first turn, while Dragantine from the rail got away second. Perfect Boy Hanover lined right up behind him to get away in third. And then racing in fourth is Beach Blogger. First turn getting green there, and making a bit of a miscue was Watch My Beverage. The opening quarter was paced in 29 and 4. Off stride went Beach Blogger while racing in fourth. So moving into the backstretch, the top 3 of a bit of a breakaway. It is Vino Louis on top by a pair. Dragantine in second, Perfect Boy Hanover in third. Then it's back to Beach Blogger, followed by Socrates Blue Chip in fifth. Island Beach Boy, who is getting around Watch My Beverage at the rear of the field. Racing towards the half, and Vino Louis, the son of Sports Writer, leads. And then in third, getting green, that was Perfect Boy Hanover. So the half was hit in 58 and 4. 29 seconds even in that second quarter. The leader is Vino Louis. Dragantine, also in his second qualifier, second. The debuting Perfect Boy Hanover is back to the rail in third for McNair. In fourth, that is Beach Blogger, who's looking to catch up after having some difficulties early on. He's almost up to that top 3. Then racing in fourth is Socrates Blue Chip. Fifth is Island Beach Boy. And the last one is Watch My Beverage. It is Vino Louis at 3/4 in 1:27 and 2. So they'll turn for home off a 28 and 3 third quarter. Vino Louis is looking to seal the deal. Get some separation here. Is now 4 lengths on top. Back in second is Dragantine. Perfect Boy Hanover now paces up into second. Beach Blogger's looking to gain a spot. He's back in fourth. And then fifth, that is Socrates Blue Chip. And into the deep stretch now, Vino Louis from the word go was ready, and Vino Louis wins. Perfect Boy Hanover was second. Battle on for third appeared to go to Beach Blogger over Dragantine, followed by Socrates Blue Chip, Island Beach Boy, and Watch My Beverage. 154 and 3 for Vino Louis.
That's the quickest trip of the day so far, 154 and 3/5 seconds, a 27 and 1 final quarter. So Vino Louis now 2 for 2 in qualifying action, scored from off the pace last week. Goes to the front, takes no prisoners this time around, and second winner of the day for Sports Writer. And both Sports Writers that won today, Mark, were ultra impressive.
Yeah, certainly were. Vino Louis going to make it back-to-back wins, and you wonder sometimes when you're in the first week if maybe you're just kind of ahead of everybody and still waiting for some of the better colts to come along. And Vino Louis, well, he'll be waiting for them and he'll be ready, because that's 2 in a row now, and that looked real good. Wasn't sure what to expect there in the stretch, but at the head of the lane, when the gap between him and his rivals grew to about 4 or 5 lengths, you could tell he was pacing strong, and that's a 27 and 1 final quarter for Vino Louis to take the 9th qualifier. Scott Young in the sulky for trainer Claire Bradshaw. This was a $30,000 buy at the London sale, and looks like he's got some big plans ahead for him, because he's got a promising future after 2 baby races.
Yeah, it's early, but 30,000 looks like a bargain potentially right now. A couple of other ones you mentioned during the call that maybe handled a little bit greenly. Beach Blogger, but got it together and came back on and was actually a good third in there. And Perfect Boy Hanover, didn't handle perfectly throughout the mile, and maybe just dodging something in the backstretch. Hard to say from this vantage point. But nice rally. Was no threat to the winner there, but clearly second, and I'm sure has a little bit more in reserve if need be next time as well. So I'm sure the Connections would be happy with that race from him.
I would have to think so. Up the backstretch there, I didn't quite catch what happened. I was at the back of the field, I think, with the call, but I looked over and he'd gone out probably 2-3 paths. But Doug McNair settled him back down, and the final back half for him was pretty good, and I don't think there'd be too much to worry about. You just don't know with these youngsters what's catching their attention and what's catching their eye. I've been impressed with how many have not been fazed by the shadow in the first turn. That was always something here in the baby races that in the past you'd really see, especially earlier in the morning. They'll go a little wide to avoid those shadows off the light standards, but these youngsters haven't been too fazed about that first bend here today. And for Perfect Boy Hanover, if he had to be ready to go in 55 today, well, that's exactly what he did. The winner was just ready to go in 54.
All right, well, we hope you're enjoying our coverage of the baby races today from Woodbine Mohawk Park. Greg Blanchard and Mark McKelvey will catch back up with Mark here in a moment. I want to remind you that we will be covering the baby races again next weekend as well. And we urge you to stop by our KOSA TV YouTube page, subscribe to that. We broadcast the races on our YouTube page and then push them out through the Facebook Live platform and on Twitter as well. Big thank you to KOSA for making this possible, of course, and the Woodbine Entertainment Group broadcast team. Thank you to Ontario Racing and hoofbid.com, our partner today. Still time to leave your comments for us, and for everyone that does leave a comment, you're automatically entered into a random draw for that $250 Amazon gift card. Compliments of our friends at hoofbid.com. 2 more races left to go here this morning. A beautiful morning, ideal conditions for racing at Woodbine Mohawk Park, and here in race number 10, scheduled to be a field of 8 again. There's a look at Roy Hill. This one a son of Racing Hill from the almost $200,000 winner, the Mistress. She a daughter of Australia's. This guy made a break in stride early in the mile last week and finished back in 7th, looking for a big rebound here. Just inside of that one, Saratoga Blue Chip. Number 7 is the son of He's Watching. Anthony Beaton's had a number of good-looking starters here in the last couple of days. And this one from the world champion mare Molly Can Do It. That daughter of Cam Luck earned almost $900,000 in her career. She's produced no less than 5 winners of $200,000 or more. And her top producer so far has been Billy Blue Chip, a winner of just over $600,000. Saratoga Blue Chip with Jody Jameson scheduled to drive. Mark has the finish order from the 9th just before we look ahead here to race 10.
Order of finish from qualifier number 9. Number 1, Dragantine was 3rd. Number 2 was Scratch. Number 3, Perfect Boy Hanover 2nd. Number 4, Vino Louis the winner. Number 5, Watch My Beverage 7th. Number 6, Socrates Blue Chip was 5th. Number 7, Beach Blogger 4th. Number 8, Island Beach Boy 6th. 3 Scratch, 2 1 7 5 4 6 is your order of finish. Fractions 29 and 4, 58 and 4, 127 and 2, 154 and 3 for the winner. Number 4, Vino Louis, 2-year-old colt by Sports Rider out of the Blissful Hall mare Wilma Hall, owned by Claire Bradshaw and Brian Jameson. Bradshaw's the trainer, Scott Young the winning driver. $30,000 London yearling sale purchase. Vino Louis now 2 for 2 in baby race action. 159 and 3 last week. Here this morning, a 154 and 3 winner, home in 27 and 1.
There's number 6, Hot Off the Press K, another son of Sports Rider, getting sent out to here by Rod Boyd. James McDonald picks up the driving assignment on this one. 6th last week in the first effort behind the gate here at Woodbine Mohawk Park for his connections. A little closer to the inside, West Coast Kid. We heard from Casey Coleman earlier on the break. She likes what this son of Better Than Cheddar has done in the training down process, and some good pedigree potential here. The Dam Made West has produced 3 winners of $200,000 or more, including the speedy West Delight, and another one that I think certainly made a good appearance here stepping onto the track was 5 Highland Beach Best. The son of Some Beach Somewheres from Rockin' Highland, and as a sibling to a trio of winners of more than $150,000 or more. Mark, who's the one you're keeping your eye on in this spot?
Good question. I'm going to, in this one, as they're just about to go to the gate here in the 10th, I'll keep my eye on, well, we'll be watching the Casey Coleman Hurley He Trainee West Coast Hid, but I want to be interested to see what Highland Beach Best does. This is one that's had a few quick horses in the family, so we'll keep our eye on that one here in the 10th qualifier. Gate is rolling. Let's meet.
Number 1, Osias, is a Sweet Lou colt out of American Ideal mare. owned by Team Osias, trained by Dan Legacy. Louis-Philippe Waugh drives a $47,000 Lexington buy. 2 counter offers, a gelded son of Shadow Play out of a Camluck mare owned by Robert McIntosh Stables, CSX Stables, trained by Bob McIntosh, Trevor Henry steers. 3 West Coast Kid, a better than Cheddar Cold out of a Western Hanover mare owned by Westwind Stables, Mac Nickel, Steve Heimbecker, and Kevin McKinley, trained by Casey Coleman Hurley, driven by Bob McClure. This was a $65,000 Lexington buy. 4 is Jim Rocks, a roll with Joe Cold out of a Rock and Roll Hanover mare, Windback Farm. The owner breeder Blake McIntosh trains. Doug McNair drives an $18,000 Lexington grad. 5 Highland Beach Best is a Some Beach Somewhere Colt out of a Rock and Roll Hanover mare, owned and bred by Highland Thoroughbred Farm. Marty Fine shares ownership. Amanda Fine trains. Sylvain Filion drives. 6 is Hot Off the Press K, a sports writer Colt out of a No Nukes mare. Bob Key, the owner breeder. Rod Boyd trains. James McDonald will drive. Then, number 7 is Saratoga Blue Chip. He's watching Colt out of a Camluck mare owned by Larry Maneri, Michael Guerrero, Alan Alburn, George Harrison, trained by Anthony Beaton. Jody Jameson drives, $60,000 Harrisburg purchase. And 8 is Roy Hill, a racing hill gelding out of an Australis mare. The stable Roy Hill Group owns. Amy McDonald trains. Anthony McDonald drives, a $17,000 Ohio purchase. They're off and pacing in qualifier number 10, and these rookie pacing colts and geldings are going to head towards the first turn, and from the middle, Hot Off the Press K maybe is going to forge his way to the lead. Outside of him, Saratoga Blue Chip, inside West Coast Kid. Not much speed here in the early going. It's Highland Beach Best who is in 4th, going to settle in then as they race into the turn. On the outside, that is Roy Hill. Inside, Osias with the final 2, Counter Offer and Jim Rocks, the opening quarter 31-1. So as I mentioned, there wasn't a whole lot of tempo early on, but these youngsters are now situated, and this pack of 8 is heading up the backstretch, being led by Saratoga Blue Chip. He's watching Colt, leads by a pair of lengths. Hot Off the Press K is in 2nd. 3rd is West Coast Kid. Then racing in 4th is Highlands Beach Best. 5th, as they go up the backstretch, that is Jim Rocks, followed then 6th by Osias, with the final 2 being Counter Offer and Roy Hill. The half was hit in 1 minute and 4. 1 minute and 4/5 is your half-mile clocking. They're entering the far turn. The leader continues to be Saratoga Blue Chip. Hot Off the Press K in 2nd. Break of 2.5 lengths going back to West Coast Kid in 3rd. Highlands Beach Best is in 4th, right on his back, racing 5th. That is Roy Hill. 6th, Osias. 7th is Counter Offer. And 8th is Jim Rocks. Angling out from 3rd now is West Coast Kid. About 2.5, 3 lengths off the leader, Saratoga Blue Chip, who hit 3 quarters in 1:29.3. So a 28-4 third quarter. Saratoga Blue Chip is looking to close this one out. Jameson calls upon him. West Coast Kid is coming. So too is Highland Beach Best. And on the far outside is Roy Hill. 16th to go. And in the center of the track, look at the strides on Highlands Beach Best, who is making up ground and coming on to win, because off stride went Saratoga Blue Chip. Highland Beach Best takes it. West Coast Kid was 2nd. 3rd was Saratoga Blue Chip. 4th was Roy Hill, followed then by Hot Off the Press K, Osias, Counter Offer, and Jim Rocks, 1:57-2.
Kicking home with the final quarter in likely around the 27-2, 27-3 range to win was Highland Beach Best, and one that we touched on just before the race. We thought the horse made a good appearance, has a pretty solid maternal family there, and one of the final horses we're going to get to see from the great Some Beach Somewhere looked very impressive in doing it. Big, strong colt, and I think one that we'll see even better from as we move forward.
I would think so. I was just kind of threw me on the spot there who I was looking at, and I had a lot more notes written down about Highland Beach Best than some. The pedigree was there, and sometimes that doesn't always deliver, but this son of Some Beach Somewhere looked real good coming on by for the win. I don't think Saratoga Blue Chip was going to hold on there, despite the fact that that son of He's Watching made a break really in deep stretch. So Connections have to be happy with Highland Beach Best. That's a real good performance for a debut, 1:57-2. So we'll check in with the rundown in just a moment from this 10th.
And Saratoga Blue Chip looked good right until the final stages, so not sure whether just a matter of trying to find that next gear and got tripped up, or greenness issues. We'll watch for that one to come back next week, but showed some ability, no question, in that 10th race. So just one more left to go. We're going to turn our attention to the 11th and final in a moment. We'll give Mark a moment there to get that rundown for you, and we'll pass it along shortly for race number 10. But the 11th has another scheduled field of 8 to go postward in this spot. You see Anthony McDonald listed on 2 from the stable. Surreal Love, the number 1, a son of So Surreal, who qualified last week, finishing 5th, was beaten 10 lengths in that qualifier, charted in 2:03. We'll look for a big step up in time and performance here today, as will the Fat Cobra, the other one from the barn. Always be Mickey Gelding, post 3 for that one. Amy McDonald, the trainer, and again, Anthony listed on those 2, so we'll get that driver change for you as soon as we can. Casey Coleman Herlihy with her final starter of the morning in the 11th and final as well, number 2, Springbridge Duel. She mentioned the circumstances surrounding this one. Was at the sale last fall. Kind of realized late in the game she didn't really have much in the way of Ontario sired prospects in her barn, so took a shot on this son of Big Jim and has liked the way he has been training down all season. Says he's high speed, can get a little bit hot, so they've really had to manage him well in the training down process to make sure that he doesn't get too excitable. So we'll see what he does today from post 2 with Bob McClure listed to do the driving. Stonebridge Damsel the mare was a $200,000 winner, and this is her first foal that we're going to see in racing action. A little bit further down on the gate, you're the one, number 5. First look at a Shanghai Phil offspring today from Millbanks Ariel, and she's a daughter of Usher Hanover. So this one homebred of Jody Cullen of Dundas, Ontario. The mare was a good one. She made $130,000 herself, and this is just her second full. Mark has the rundown from that 10th race, and we'll have a little bit more to say on the 11th and final coming up next.
Order of finish from qualifier number 10. Number 1, Osias was 6th. Number 2, Counter Offer 7th. Number 3, West Coast Kid 2nd. Number 4, Jim Rocks was 8th. Number 5, Highland Beach Best was the winner. Number 6, Hot Off the Press K 5th. Number 7, Saratoga Blue Chip 3rd. And number 8, Roy Hill was 4th. 6, 7, 2, 8, 1, 5, 3, 4. Your order of finish. Fractions were 31 and 1, 1 minute and 4 fifths. 129 and 3, 157 and 2 for the winner. Number 5, Highland Beach Best, a Some Beach Somewhere colt out of the Rock and Roll Hanover mare Rockin' Highland, owned and bred by Highland Thoroughbred Farm. Marty Fine, part of the ownership. Amanda Fine, the winning trainer. Sylvan Filion was in the sulky. Highland Beach Best takes qualifier number 10.
So there's a final look at them heading on to the racetrack. Space Cowboy is the number 8. Sylvan Filion will team up here with trainer Herb Holland on this son of Better Than Cheddar from a Rock and Roll Hanover mare, Dancing at Night, just a $14,000 yearling purchase. And making his first start behind the gate here this morning. Bulldog Hanover number 7's a shadow play from the Arts Place mare BJ Squall. She was a top performer. Close to $300,000 made in her career, and she's already produced a $450,000 winner, Blaze MM Hanover. There's a look at the complete field of 8 here for the finale. Mark, I'm going to need your help for a pronunciation on the number 6.
Yeah, number 6 is Kioquat. That's how we'll pronounce this. Son of sports writer, who the second dam is Cabrini Hanover, so Wrigley bred, but it is Kioquat.
Okay. And it looks like we've got one just lagging here in the paddock. That is the Fat Cobra. Awaiting a driver here for the finale on this one. Again, Mark, just maybe your thoughts on the day here overall so far. We thought we'd see a substantial step up in time today. We've seen a few impressive miles, but not those crazy fast miles that really turn your head. And I think today was really all about the educational process for many of these.
Yeah, it was. And the one thing that stood out to me was I think the pacing fillies yesterday really set the bar pretty high. And I'm not sure the Colts matched it here today. We've seen some good performances. It ultimately doesn't mean a whole lot. This is baby race action. This is a learning experience for all of them. This is their first opportunity. What will really matter is when the money is on the line, when they're under the bright lights. But I still think there's lots of potential we've seen out there. Maybe haven't been dazzled as much as we were yesterday morning by some of those pacing fillies. But overall, I think there will be lots of happy connections walking away from this one. And hey, we still got one to go. Maybe somebody will really catch your eye here.
And there are the two starters from the stable. Last one's out on the track. Anthony going to stick with Surreal Love, the number 1. And it will be Louis-Philippe Roy on board number 3. That is the Fat Cobra. And the Fat Cobra is a son of Always Be Mickey from the mare Little Miss Dragon. Of course, we remember her. She was a champion mare. Banked almost $800,000 in her wonderful career on the racetrack. She's produced Delightful Dragon, who was a champion mare as well, winner of well over $800,000. Surreal Love by So Surreal. You talk about underrated stallions, Mark, in New York. So Surreal has really made a name for himself in recent years.
Yeah, he has. We were talking about that a bit last week when it comes to the presence he's made in New York, and not always an easy state to make a big splash in, but he's done just that as of late. Sometimes it just takes time. That's something we've talked about with some of our stallions here in Ontario. Can pass along that Louis Was driving the 3, the Fat Cobra, Ron Cullen driving the 5, You're the 1, and number 7, Bulldog Hanover is scratch. So it'll be a field of 7.
Starting gate now rolling for the 11th and final qualifier here on this Saturday at Woodbine Mohawk Park. Number 1, Surreal Love, is a gelded son of So Surreal out of a Shark St. Partners mare. The stable Surreal Love is the owner. Harry Polton trains. Anthony McDonald drives. $6,000 Goshen buy. 2, Springbridge Duel, a big Jim colt out of a Mach 3 mare owned by Westwind Stable, Steve Heimbecker, and along with Mark Kenotrowitz. Casey Coleman Herlihy is the trainer. Bob McClure drives a $40,000 Harrisburg buy. 3, the Fat Cobra, is a gelded son of Always Be Mickey out of a Dragon Again mare. The stable the Fat Cobra owns. Amy McDonald trains. Louis Watt drives a $15,000 Lexington purchase. 4, Major Makeover, is an Art Major colt out of a Cam's Card Shark mare owned by Hut Racing Stable, Blake McIntosh, and Touchstone Farms. McIntosh trains. James McDonald drives $25,000. At the Harrisburg sale. 5, You're the 1, a Shanghai Phil colt out of an Usher Hanover mare, owned and bred by Jody Cullen. Travis Cullen and Ron Cullen share ownership. Jody Cullen trains. Ron Cullen will drive. 6 is Kioquat, a sports writer colt out of a Some Beach Somewhere mare, owned by Clay Horner, David Wilmot, and Scott Horner. Greg McNair trains. Doug McNair drives. 60. And number 8, Space Cowboy, better than Cheddar colt out of Rock and Roll Hanover mare, owned by Vincenzo Stranges and Mike Pelosi. Herb Holland trains. Sylvan Filion drives, a $14,000 Lexington grad. So they're off and pacing in the 11th and final qualifier. Major Makeover gets out to the early lead, cutting in front of Surreal Love. Here on the outside, Kioquat is now going to work his way up to the lead. So a good beginning for Kioquat, and he touches down on the front just as they enter that first bend. Getting away in third is Surreal Love. Then racing in fourth is Springbridge Duel. Opening quarter, 31 seconds flat. Checking in with the Fat Cobra, who is fifth, followed by You're the 1, sixth, and seventh is Space Cowboy. Group of 7 moves into the backstretch, and Major Makeover is going to come around. Major Makeover will retake the lead from Kioquat. Then in third, that is Surreal Love, followed fourth by Springbridge Duel. Fifth up the backstretch, the Fat Cobra, You're the 1, and the trailer, Space Cowboy. Group of 7 heading up towards the half. And the leader now is Major Makeover, second qualifier for this son of Art Major. Was second last week, timed in 2 minutes and 2/5. Leads past the half in 1:01 even. Lead begins to grow here as they roll into the far turn. It's out to about 3 lengths. Major Makeover now is really picking it up. Kioquat's in second, then in third. That is Surreal Love, followed in fourth by Springbridge Duel. Break of about 4 lengths going back to the Fat Cobra, fifth. 6th is You're the 1. As they head towards 3/4, the trailer is Space Cowboy. 3/4 is going to be up on the board, courtesy of the leader, Major Makeover, in 1:29. 28 seconds in the third split. Off the turn and into the stretch. The Fat Cobra made a break going around the final turn. It's Major Makeover on top. With a target, Springbridge Duel. He is going right at it, and Springbridge Duel is quickly closing in, but is still a length and a half away. It's Major Makeover, Springbridge Duel, then Kyoquat in third, going well back to Surreal Love in fourth. It's going to be Major Makeover to win by a length. Second was Springbridge Duel. Third was Kyoquat. Then fourth will go to Surreal Love, followed by You're the One, Space Cowboy, and the Fat Cobra. 156 flat for Major Makeover in the finale.
.156 flat, the win time, 27 seconds on the end. That's a 55-second final half, and that is the fastest back half of the entire morning session. Very impressive. In the win was Major Makeover, the Art Major Colt from Make-O-Wish by Cam's Card Shark with Double J driving for Blake McIntosh. And Blake's got another good-looking youngster on his hands there. And I think high marks to the runner-up, Mark. He had to grind a long way first over and was inching in a little bit closer to the winner coming to the end, and that was Springbridge Duel, the son of Big Jim that we talked about prior to the race.
Yeah, I thought when I mentioned it in the call, I thought Springbridge Duel was going to make things a little closer and ultimately comes up about a length short. But when you look at the fact that how many lengths he was off at 3/4, that's a real good last quarter. And the second place finish in a mile like that, he'll take. That's a good performance, a good debut. Major Makeover, another one that comes back after racing last week and really steps it up here in week number 2. Last week, a mile in 2 minutes and 2/5 with a final quarter in 29.3, finishing second, but was well back of a winner. So they knew there was more in the tank here today, and James McDonald wanted to be in control, circled around to the lead, and from there, it was game over. So a good-looking son of Art Major to cap off our day.
A lot of fun, and based on what we saw today as we look ahead to next weekend, I think that's where we could start to see some fireworks. What do you think?
I would agree. I think that is a safe bet. I think the ones here today, I would imagine most of them will probably come back. I mean, we did have some that qualified last week. They'll now have 2 under their belts. There are 2-year-old races written on the condition sheet for next week, but every trainer is different with their approach. You don't usually see that very first 2-year-old race of the season flooded with entries. Maybe that'll be the case. Who knows? They might as well, because they know they'll be ready to go, and there's a good chance, like you mentioned, there's going to be some real top ones that'll be ready to debut, plus those that debut today who will be ready to take that next step. So it's fun tracking them. It's fun watching the progression. I think we'll have some real good performances next week, and overall, Connection should be happy with what they saw here today.
Absolutely. So some of the highlights again from this morning. We had a pair of winners from each shadow play. Sports Writer again and Better Than Cheddar. So they've really made their presence felt in the first couple of baby race sessions that we've had here. Vino Louis, fastest winner of the morning, 54-3. Magnum Moon with a sharp 155-4 effort as well. Proline, son of Sports Writers, one that really caught our eye. And of course, the winner, first and second place finisher here in the finale as well. So it's been a lot of fun. Mark, great job as always, calling the action and helping me out here. And we look forward to it next weekend with you.
Yeah, can't wait. It's been a lot of fun. It's the best time of the year. So to all the viewers at home, hope you enjoyed it, and looking forward to what next weekend will have for us.
All right, and it's going to be a great night here as well at Woodbine Mohawk Park, so hope you can rejoin us for that. Mark will be back working, I'm sure, here and taking a little break this afternoon and joining you as part of that here this evening. So looking forward to that. I want to remind you the Ontario Sire Stakes program for 2020 kicks off today with the Prospect Series. Here's another look at the initial schedule in all of the various categories. Prospect Series starts today at Hanover Raceway, 3-year-old filly pacers. Grassroots Series makes a stop here at Woodbine Mohawk Park on Friday, June 26th, 3-year-old filly pacers. And the Gold Series, first event of the year, will be happening Sunday, June 28th at Georgian Downs, when 3-year-old colt trotters will take center stage on that day. Let's take a look at that poll question that we asked you off the top. And, we'll wonder if you had today's results playing a role in how you see things now, certainly. Here's the question that we asked you. We gave you 2 trotting sires to choose from, Muscle Mass and Cadabra, and 2 pacing sires in Sports Writer and Better Than Cheddar. We were asking you which one you think will have the biggest impact this year in the Ontario Sire Stakes program. And there were a couple of different ways that you could take part in that. You could submit your answers in the pop-up box. So producer Curtis is going to get those results for us here in just a moment. And we want to thank you for taking part. And hope you had a chance to leave lots of comments for us today as well, because we are going to have a draw a little bit later on after the show for that $250 Amazon gift card. And there you have it. Better Than Cheddar. People think Better Than Cheddar, 44%. Believe that he is going to be the one that has the biggest impact. Sports Writer, surprising to me based on what we've seen from him so far, at just 11%. The veteran Cadabra at 19%, and Muscle Mass at 26%. Mark, if you're still there, what are your thoughts on that poll? Any surprises?
I shouldn't be surprised, because I mentioned the fact that we ran a poll here last night at Woodbine Mohawk Park. We didn't have Sports Writer in it, and we left out Better's Delight, as they were the top 2 pacing stallions from a year ago. But our poll last night was only the options were from Pacers, and Better Than Cheddar won that vote as well. So I have to say, maybe these early baby race results are playing a factor in the minds of the voters, and why wouldn't they be? They've looked real good to this point.
Look forward to seeing more of them here next weekend, as mentioned. So we are going to be back next weekend. That'll be our final weekend of broadcasting these baby races. We're really happy to be able to do that for you. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage to this point in time. Big thank you again to COSA and the Woodbine Entertainment Group broadcast team. As mentioned, hoofbid.com, a valued partner of the broadcast as well, and they've sponsored this $250 Amazon gift card giveaway. We are going to draw the winner at random. We're collected from all of the comments left on our social media platforms over the last couple of days. We will post it on the COSA Facebook page. We'll post that winner with details on how to get your $250 Amazon gift card, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, make sure you stop by the COSA TV YouTube page and subscribe to that. That's the platform that we'll be broadcasting from, and promoting those baby races again next weekend. So make sure to stop by the COSA TV YouTube page and subscribe today, and we'll be broadcasting again over the various platforms 1 week from today with next weekend's coverage. Thank you again for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday. So long from Woodbine Mohawk Park.
COSA, the Central Ontario Standardbred Association, proudly serving Ontario horse people with integrity and accountability. Collaborative, supportive, helping to ensure a vibrant harness racing industry. Lifetime membership is free, and there are many benefits. Become a new member today. COSA, representing the interests of horse people racing at Ontario racetracks. To find out more, visit cosaonline.com.